React to fast pot or explode, okay. That's the first thing I see when I open chat on my phone. Just, okay. Hi, bye. That's awesome. The guy who makes robots, hello. Crystal Girl Forever, hello. Heyo Meow, hello. The Watcher, hello. Ghostface, hello. Noah, hello. MMH, hello everybody. See, we have a few people already in chat. Guys, what if he would like to begin the stream and hello everybody, my name is Markiplier, and then Markiplier would show up? That'd be funny. Brief hello to Withered Circle, I suppose. Hello Dashmaster, hello David the Goof, hello Grievous, hello I Always Come Back Mimic. Hello Skylar, 500 Magellos. Hello everybody, thank you for joining stream. I hope you're all having a good day or a good night, whichever it is for you. Now, if you've read the title, you might very well know what English is hard, says the English major. You might already know what we're doing tonight. We're going to be watching some Fnaf theories live. You're going to get my live reaction as I claw and bite into these wonderfully made Fnaf theories. I'm going to tear them apart ruthlessly. So if Glitchtrap was the Mimic, Willy Boy is still in UCN? A lot of people misinterpret what UCN is. UCN is not actual hell. Like, it's a coma. It's like, it's an eternal nightmare. So, like, maybe his soul, if you want to say like his soul's trapped in UCN, maybe. But it's not hell. It's like a state of, Ultimate Custom Night is a state of mind. That's funny. Okay, let me pull up chat there. Let me get there. Sorry, I'm almost ready. I always have like a technical period. Hope everyone's having a good day or night though. Sadly, won't be able to stay since it's yeah, that's okay. Thank you for stopping by, Grievous. I appreciate it. I have a theory that the Mimic was all of the endos that you've seen so far except Security Breach. I remember a theory a little while ago that was like, Endo 02 might be the Mimic. I don't believe that. It's a fun thought, though. It's a fun thought. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for everyone who's joining. We're gonna get right into it. So, wait, that's the wrong thing. Do I move my guy over? Let me move my guy over. I lost where my guy is. There he is. That'll do. Okay. Now, oh, let me look, wait. FNAF Multiverse Theory, books, games, and the movies are separate universes. You know what? To be fair, by the way, hello Indie Retro, but to be fair, Johnny, I've actually thought about that before. I thought about making it like a crackpot theory. I just haven't had the time to do it as of late, but it is something I thought of. Hello Mori Mortimer! Wait, sorry, before we watch the theory, before we watch Narrow Raven's theory, we have to do this now. Wait. Thank you for joining real quick, because, wait, this is so fire. I forgot how to spell. There we go. Wait a minute. Yeah, you know, we might actually watch this later too, but wait a minute. You guys need to listen to this. Shout out to Mori Mortimer, because this is a fire. This is fire. Let me shut up. Spirits, just like the one I used to know. With his green mask glistening, often in prison. Ending show. This is fire. This is peak, guys. You have to listen to this. Vengeful spirits. Everyone says Cassidy. But go read the files and frights. And accept that your strength is right. I'm dreaming of a vengeful spirits. Okay, you guys get the point. Absolute fire. I wanted to do that because oh my god, peak, but I forgot about it briefly. So thank God you stopped by. By the way, hello, McMaddy. Hello. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I know I missed a few people. Oh well. I don't believe the fact that Michael is Glamrock Freddy for one reason. I don't think it needs to do that. I think, you know, the thing about Michael being Glamrock Freddy is that it's derived from the idea that, you know, Gregory is the crying child or something. So it's, you know, to be fair, you could technically speaking, you could have Glam Mike, but Glam Mike only holds weight if it's really, you know, again, if Gregory is the crying child. Hello now, Raven.
FNAF's biggest mystery in the modern era is understanding what is even going on in the future of the franchise.
Oh, by the way, sorry, I pressed play without saying it, but thank God I looked at chat because he just popped in. This video is made by NarrowRaven and _. Actually, let me real quick. There we go. I'm a real fan, guys. So, yeah, this is by this is by two other people that have names. And it's about security breach, and it came out, I think, literally yesterday. And so we're gonna react to it, and then I'm gonna tear it apart.
Franchise, with many new characters that have been introduced ever since 2019.
If you want me to, afterwards I'm down to join and answer questions. Yeah, I'd be down.
With the release of Help Wanted. However, two huge topics that have been brought up is if Vanessa is related to the Afton family, and when security breach takes place in the timeline.
By the way, stronger every day.
I set out to find those answers by tackling one question to help solve the other. And I think I have a very solid answer to both of these questions for if Vanessa is an Afton and when security breach takes place in the FNAF timeline.
I'm interested in seeing what he says. I don't know if he's still in chat, but because I know it isn't the popular theory that it takes place in 2035. Like, I feel like that's like that's the popular consensus. I know, like, that's what FNAF said. F-U-H, FNAF. For those who don't know, John FNAF. Like, he deposited that forever ago. I don't remember if Map had ever said it or not. But I know there's, like, stuff in the game that has, like, 2030 or something. People either love or hate this theory. There's been no in-between. Yeah, that sounds about right. Mangle, Puppet Forever. Hi, Doc. It's Mangle again. This stream is someone... since Axo isn't here. Fire. Yeah, we're reacting to FNAF theories.
So join
Hello,
me
everybody.
As we decipher this 4-year question once and for all.
It's
Hello,
not
everyone.
2035.
My name is NarrowRaven, and welcome to the Xander Zone. In today's episode, we'll be covering security.
Okay, first thing against this theory, you put Pops, you put Funko Pops on the shelf, and we all know that U2's is better, so, -1 point.
Breach's place in the overall FNAF timeline, Vanessa's age in the modern era, and how that leads us to believe that Vanessa is an Afton in the game's timeline. I am joined today by fellow theorist and FNAF AR connoisseur, _, who helped out immensely with this theory, who will be covering...
I like my FNAF Pops because U2's is expensive, man. No, I get that. Look at, you know, to be fair, U2's are probably going to become a lot more expensive if U2's really does go down under.
What we found in AR for us. So, as always, if you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, as we have a goal of 7,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
Let's get it!
Go show some love and support to _, as you'll be able to find his channel
that guy
everywhere in
too!
this video.
Yeah!
Share this video with your friends and family, as every bit helps. And otherwise, without further ado, let's get...
My theory is that FNAF 3 takes place in 2023. Well, fun fact, I actually have a theory coming out in a few days regarding that, and it's not 2023.
Right into the video.
By the way, hello, local anxious
So
potato.
we of course have to start out with FNAF Help Wanted, as this was the first game of the modern era releasing on May 28th, 2019, and the game that actually introduced us to Vanessa through Vanny. So let's start with Vanessa's first actual appearance in this game, Curse of Dreadbear. In this DLC, there's one minigame that is Vanny's only appearance in this DLC.
And yeah, sorry if I keep pausing, by the way, but that's the nature of React content. Anyone ever think, like, how, I don't want to say underrated Curse of Dreadbear is, but it gets swept under the rug a lot? Like, I don't see a lot of people talk about this DLC nowadays. I don't think I saw a lot of people talking about it when the DLC came out. Oh, I recommend moving the music in the background as it was. Oh yeah, you're right. See, I listen to a lot of FNAF tracks a lot, and so I low-key forget that I sometimes have like that playing. So thank you very much.
Corn Maze, a mini game in which you, the player, have to navigate a corn maze while evading Grim Foxy, and by finding one of 4 keys to escape using their corresponding colored gate. However, if you decide to give yourself a challenge and collect all 4 keys, a 5th glitchy purple key will appear on the map. Once obtained, you can go back to the spawn area to open the cellar and find Vanny's mask, which is later used for a secret in the main lobby, detailing how Vanny is excited about making her new costume. Now, this minigame is really interesting to me, and here's why. In Corn Maze, we have to look at who appears and where in this minigame. Odds are you'll first come across Grim Foxy, a foxy that's on fire.
Baller design, by the way. Again, you know what? I actually will commit to it. I think Curse of Dreadbear is very underrated. It had some really fun mini games, like the Corn Maze one is just really cool, very spooky, and this dude is just like fire, dude, literally fire, you know?
A maze. Now, to me, this raises a few alarm bells, as there's only one time in FNAF where someone associated with Foxy is on fire in a maze, being FFPS, with Michael being in the building when it burned down. We continue this connection with Michael further with Grim Foxy's appearance in the death screen of Curse of Dreadbear. In this death screen, Grim Foxy can be seen outside of the graveyard trying to claw his way back in, meaning that whoever Grim Foxy is a representation of is alive, while Dreadbear and 8 others are in the graveyard surrounding the
okay, Crackpot, is he gonna say Michael Afton's alive? Because I know that's a theory.
Purple gravestone, which to me places this death screen after FFPS in representation due to William dying in FFPS and Dreadbear guarding his grave, like how the vengeful spirit guards William in UCN to torment him in his mind, which is a great bridge into our next character who appears in the Corn Maze minigame, being Glitchtrap. We can help conclude this as typically anything purple and glitchy is Glitchtrap related, and well, that's exactly what this 5th key is. Purple and glitchy. With that information and the fact that Glitchtrap is an AI mimic.
There's a similar thing in Help Wanted too. I believe the coin that you get to play Princess Quest is like purple glitchy as well. By the way, hello BV Studios, hello Damon, hello Gecko, hello Serial Designation N. Thank you to everyone who's joining stream. I hope you're having a good day or a good night, whichever it is for you.
Williams' actions in the 1985 missing children's incident that helped.
Tragedy at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza results in 5 missing... By the way, great editing, by the way. Awesome editing so far. Results in 5 children missing after video evidence shows a man in the old Spring Bonnie suit luring the 5 children into an unknown location within the establishment. Local investigators have reported that parents who saw the man in the Spring Bonnie suit as unsuspecting and kind to... Wait. Oh, yeah. Even quoting, he would even help some kids with beating arcade machines. I read that as like beating up other kids. However, no information about the suspect is known. If you or anyone you know has any information regarding the identity of the suspect, please call 1-800. It's that purple guy that, you know, killed other kids.
Place 2 absent family members.
Hello, Peyton. Hello,
and
Springlocky.
As their AI representation forms. This is what helps us get to.
Wait, I got a good question. Since Into the Pit has been made into a game, does that make it canon to the game lore? That is something people argue about to this day since the game came out. Because, yes, it is an adaptation of the original story into, you know, game form. But also, there was another adaptation of Into the Pit, which is in book form, and it's an interactive novel. It's called Return to the Pit. And it's... I think it really kind of depends on if Mega Cat Studios continues making more games like that. Because if we get a game series that's like adapting frights, you know, I think they said that they'd like to do fetch or whatever. Scott said that he'd be interested like a fetch one. And if they do like more after that, I can kind of see the Mega Cat games, assuming there might be more, being like the game version of frights or whatever. Like I could see that, but as it stands, I kind of think I don't know, because the week before is like the most inline game book there is, and Return to the Pit is part of the week before, you know, the interactive novel series. When are we getting a Fredbear game, to be honest? I don't think they're not going to make a Fredbear game ever. They're never going to make a Fredbear game. I think the closest you're going to get is Secret of the Mimic. I think that's the closest you're gonna get. Maybe if like in a DLC, assuming they do a DLC for Secret of the Mimic, you know, maybe something like that. But you're never gonna get a game that is actually Fredbear's Family Diner, because it's just too early in the timeline for like anything real wacky to happen in terms of like gameplay or something.
Our first clue into what's going on with Vanessa
Sorry,
and her family heritage.
I have my Freddy
in this
Fazbear
minigame,
bottle.
after getting the 5th key, you could go back and unlock that cellar with Vanny's mask in it. Now, in Security Breach, it is mentioned that in the tapes that Vanessa does not like dark areas.
Yeah. Do you have a hobby? No? Perhaps we could find one for you, like a sport.
No? How about cycling class?
I have a craft space in my basement. Maybe I could come up with something you could learn to do. I don't like dark basements.
This shows us that step in her life of being locked underground in a dark area that ends up causing her dislike of dark areas, which reflects in Corn Maze, where her AI form is in a dark cellar underground, where the key to unlocking it is Glitchtrap's purple key, helping us piece together that Vanessa was locked in a dark basement by William Afton, and this is her release taking place, a continuation of the ending from the base Help Wanted game, in which Glitchtrap traps the player, who we can conclude is Vanessa, in a dark basement. So to explain this quickly, we have 3 AI representations of different characters, 2 of which are Afton family members, along with the third one being Vanessa, that ends up reflecting her childhood story and Security Breach that starts to piece this puzzle together. However, we could use this information and more in AR to continue to piece this puzzle together, which I'll be passing to.
Let's Fred this bear. By the way, hello Meme, hello Jeremy, hello Alex Devine. Hello, Bleef OSC. Dang, I mean, it could be possible we didn't even know about Sodom in the timeline until the trailer. Oh, yeah, I mean, sure. The difference is that, like, we've seen Fredbear's Family Diner before, like in Fnaf 4.
Underscore to help to explain this theory.
So, fellow theorists, now that we've got some of these connections down,
we can start
to fully form this theory with
Hey, purple guy!
Fnaf AR, specifically through the game's various emails and the lore they dropped. First off is Vanessa's age, which we received via an email that sadly never actually appeared in the game. In this email, outlining the
I'm so sad that this game got taken down. I know there was like a version of it that you can play on Game Jolt that someone made. It's probably like the better version of the game, actually. I haven't tried it out yet. I might in the future. But I remember playing Fnaf AR when it first came out. I was like, I don't remember exactly, but I think they had like a sign-up thing where like if you signed up with your email or whatever, you'd get like an early access. It was only like by a few hours, I think, early access, so maybe like a day. But I did that, and I played the game, and it was really fun for what it's worth. I think it got a lot of flack because of microtransactions, which, to be fair, yeah, microtransactions. But beyond that, I do think it was a fun game. I think the real issue just had was like a trickling content, and it gets memed on a lot for all the skins, like Liberty Chica, Chocolate Bonnie, and whatnot. But it was fun, you know. I'm glad AR was removed and they never made the animatronic they promised. They did, like, I know they did the toys, they did the fun times, they just never did Lefty. I think that was the one that was, like, they planned to add. I'm running to McDonald's, I should be back before this is over. Since you're going to McDonald's, can you, like, nab me a Big Mac? Please? Thank you.
The birthdays of Fazbear employees and their preferred cakes, we get to learn a few pretty important things about Vanessa. Firstly, that as of Fnaf AR, Vanessa is either 23 years old or going on 23 in September of 2020, the year also given to us in many of the emails. Now, this is something we can use, mainly for potentially determining.
So I was just thinking about it in my head, because I know, isn't there something else I'm not very familiar with the AR emails, unfortunately, but I do remember some stuff about them, especially since, like, I know Fnaf, John Fnaf, talked about them a lot before, too. Those, I think, Nessa, like, Ness 97 or something. Was it Ness? I don't remember. But I remember a 97 coming up somewhere.
When Vanessa was actually born. If we take the date this email was supposed to have been sent in AR, being December 15th, 2019, and subtract her likely current age of 22, then we get 1997, a year that's actually already given to us in the form of Vanessa's email address, being Nessie97,
yeah, there we go.
aka
there we go.
1997.
Shut up, Doc.
So,
watch
with
the
those
video.
numbers lining up surprisingly well, we can conclude that Vanessa would have been born in September 1997. And with the theory of Vanessa being an actual Afton, follow me, and the death of William wouldn't be able to happen until after September of 97. That is, unless you think Vanessa's actually Michael's daughter, though that we're not even really gonna.
That gets into really wild territory, but I've thought about that before, because I do, at the moment, you know, maybe this video will change my mind, but I do kind of, I could see the 2035 date, of course, and I had thought about the idea that possibly, especially because Vanessa, I think, has some Mike-isms, you know, that she is supposed to be Michael's daughter, but also at the same time, that's very weird when you consider the whole stuff in, like, the movies. It's not, it's just weird, generally. Is it, like, wild, morally unethical weird? No, but, like, weird.
Dive into here. Returning to the emails.
I think more likely, yeah, Vanessa is just William Afton's, like, secret fourth kid.
The next thing of note is how Vanessa likes her.
By the way, hello, I can't read. Starblade MC. Hello. Ennard saved Michael's balls when turning him into a corpse. I mean, that depends on when you think SL happens. I think SL happens after FNAF 3. I think that I mean, I still do. I still do. Because I believe in meta logbook. Yeah. So yeah, I think SL happens after FNAF 3. I have a video on that, about it on my channel. The movies kind of stray from the canon material, though. Yeah, that they do. That they do. But also, even... Okay, put it this way. So, in the movies, you have Mike Schmidt, which is not William Afton's kid. They've separated the character of Michael Afton into two characters now. Spoilers for the movie, sorry. It's been, like, a few weeks, I think, at this point. But, you know, you have Michael Afton, William Afton's kid, and also Mike Schmidt, again, in the movies. Like, they're two separate characters in the movies. And then you have Vanessa, William Afton's daughter, in the movies, and maybe in the games, too. And then... But then, so, like, then Mike Schmidt and Vanessa in the movies have a situationship going on, and they even go, like, on a date in the beginning of the film. There's a level of weirdness to it, I think, objectively speaking, but it's not wrong in any sense, because for the movies, it's, again, that's not... They've strayed from the material, yeah. It's just weird. I'm back. What do we think so far?
Birthday cake.
Banned.
Bunny
No, I'm kidding.
This is pretty obviously due to Glitchtrap's control and her new Vanny persona following FNAF VR, which we can confirm due to some of the emails that actually released.
The baby isn't mine. Could that be Vanessa? I don't think so. I think the whole baby isn't mine thing is just like, I think Clara represents Michael and then Vlad represents William. Good thought, but I think at the time of sister location, Vanessa wasn't really something the guy, Scott Cawthon, thought of.
In AR, raising some pretty big red flags that she's not entirely herself at the moment. While all that was sort of given.
Oh, so you got McDonald's that quick? Damn, like, do you just, like, across the street?
As of the time of VR, what wasn't at the time is our final detail of Vanessa's last initial being A. Of course, we can't 100% confirm this last initial stands for Afton, but with the very few last initials given in the...
You know, like... It's funny because when you... I chuckled at this anyway. In Secret of the Mimic, when you find the not the audio logs. No, I think it was in an audio log too. In Secret of the Mimic, when they reference Henry, they shorten Henry down to Hen for some reason. Which I think is stupid. Like, it's Henry. Why would you shorten it down to Hen? Like, why is that a nickname? Why you do that? But it's like, you know they're talking about Henry, you know? And when it's like, oh, W.A. for the William Afton ones, you know they're talking about William Afton. So, like, when you see Vanessa A, I think it's a fair assumption that's, oh, yo, it's that William Afton, purple guy.
FNAF series, and the fact of just how much this initial is pushed in.
Scott was in talks with Steel doing SL, to my knowledge. I mean, I know they were in talks as early as, like, I think, for probably FNAF 6, like, a UCN. I know he was talking to Megacat, because didn't Megacat start working on Into the Pit, like, around the time of UCN? There's some stuff that's been, like, in the works for years, like, it's like, whoa, really, that long? I mean, look at the movie. The movie's been, like, was in production hell for, like, 9 years. But
the game, even being used by Vanessa herself later on, it's most certainly an important detail to note considering by now that we know Vanessa is an actual Afton in the movie universe. So considering FNAF AR was the first time we actually got to know a bit about her in the games, let's take a bit of a deeper look at what it initially did for her and her character. In the games, Vanessa is made out to be a pretty strange character.
Another side note, again, sorry I keep pausing. That's reaction content for you, but I will say, I think an underrated part of AR was how it kind of gave you the lore. I think the idea of, like, the emails, like, gradually being released over time and whatnot, I do think that was fun. And it is it's a fun rabbit hole, haha, wink wink, nudge nudge. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down that I actually thought about doing before, just haven't had the time.
In the offices of Fazbear Entertainment, seemingly having two personalities according to IT guy Luis Cabrera,
Games
calling
fiction.
out how she sometimes looks up things about nature and even dresses in colorful attire along.
I remember this part. Because again, I know John Fnaf brought it up that the Lewis in AR is probably the same Lewis referenced in Security Breach. There is a surprising amount of overlap between the two that you would not think is possible, or that you would not think of on first glance, but there is, and that plays into the whole fact that a lot of Security Breach is, like, environmental storytelling.
With her rainbow extensions, however, also likes looking up some pretty brutal things about the human body the average person probably shouldn't be Googling. The strangest of these searches is undoubtedly how to induce compliance in human subjects and how to induce self-compliance. Now, manipulation is of course an iconic trait of the Afton family throughout the franchise, such as,
"Don't you know you're my favorite? Don't you know I love you?"
with Circus Baby manipulating Michael into the scooping room, Michael manipulating Fazbear Entertainment using fake aliases, and...
Is that really manipulation? Very small, minute point. I think more so the important, like, string there is, of course, that, you know, it's something William Afton is very much known for.
William, who manipulates...
And even then, like, Glitch Trap is mimicking William Afton, so...
too many to count across the series, with one of them mainly being Vanessa herself in the movie universe. Now, you can chalk this all up to Glitch Trap's influence over Vanessa, and while this is largely true for the games, it also paints a nice parallel to the plot of the movies themselves. In the FNAF movie, Vanessa is manipulated by fear to do exactly what her father, William, wants her to do, which in this case is to keep tabs on and manipulate the pizzeria's security guards, potentially dispatching some of the guards themselves if they were to get too close to the truth, while hiding the bodies of anyone in the pizzeria who suffers a far less fortunate fate. Meanwhile, in the games,
allegedly,
Vanessa is being manipulated by Glitch Trap out of fear to keep him and anything else he's up to a secret, dispatching anyone who gets too close to the truth, which may even include a hand in Security Breach's missing therapists. All in all, this manipulation seems...
Although, I will say, I feel like that one is more likely Patient 46 is the one that gets rid of the, like, offs the therapists. Which, you know, Patient 46, Gregory.
To be a pretty big hint that what we expect that A and her last name to stand for is indeed the correct answer. However, that conclusion can actually help us to understand a bit more about what else actually goes on in FNAF AR. In FNAF AR, the contractor company in charge of the Fazbear Funtime service begins to have issues after scanning some vintage circuit boards, accidentally releasing a virus into their system. Eventually, after contacting Fazbear Entertainment on December 14th, 2019, an IT account named V_A reaches back out to access their systems. After successfully isolating the virus itself, from December 20th to 25th of 2019, every contractor employee begins getting locked out of all their accounts as someone is hacking their system, mainly sending commands to disable safety features on all Fazbear Funtime service animatronics. Later, it's clear from Lewis's sleuthing that he may suspect Vanessa as obviously the culprit behind the VA account, though that's not where her tampering ended. It would seem that she'd later also be involved in sending _Pizzaplex.
Just a thought. So, like, I forget. Maybe I missed something. But, like, is Vanessa working for Fazbear Entertainment at this point in, like, AI? Was that for the DL shipping company? I forget. So, because I know Lewis is like, oh, he gets the red flags emails or whatever, and he has like a crush on Vanessa. But like, wait, my thought process is that like, wait, if Vanessa has been hired to work at Fazbear Entertainment again, and assuming at this point, she had to sit in front of like an actual human being and not a robot, because in Security Breach they've replaced the staff with a bunch of robots, and she's literally like the only humanoid working there. Like, they're like, oh, you have the last name of one of our founders. Oh, that guy who probably killed a bunch of kids. Yeah, you're hired. Yes, Vanessa's working for Fazbear Entertainment in AI. Yeah, okay, I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. They make wonderful decisions.
AKA a virus-flagged email to all Fazbear staff, with Vanessa as the VA account being the very one to
If this is in 2020 as Glitchtrap, then when does FNAF 3 SL and PS take place? FNAF 3, in my opinion, takes place in 2015. I have a theory coming out in a few days about that, actually. It's a very strong one, I think. Very kind of concrete, if I do say so myself. And then I think, personally, I think Sister Location happens after FNAF 3, so... Oh, hello, Adam, dude. Oh, Scott Coffin. And so, SL, I think you can kind of place where... I think so, SL happened in 2016. I guess you could say 2016, maybe, for, like, SL. I generally speaking, I just say... I would just... Where's your check mark? Yeah. But then I think... What, it was 2017? I guess, like, FFPS would be 2017, yeah. I think that's, like, what I'd go with.
To allow it through despite its detection, as we can see from that very email's own September security incident log. In both of these cases, we're seeing a very hostile takeover of a company, both in the infiltration of the Funtime Services contractor company and virus spreading through Fazbear Entertainment. Very much like what we've seen from William in the past, completely taking over MCM and absorbing who knows what other companies into the Fazbear conglomerate. All of this begins to create some pretty obvious connections between Vanessa and the Afton family, both in terms of how she acts and how she's represented in the FNAF movie, perfectly paralleling the story of Vanessa in the game.
You know what, in saying that, now that I think about it, it is a very interesting parallel, because in the movies, again, spoilers if you haven't seen it, but in the movie, Michael Afton is trying to continue his father's legacy by, trying to, again, the movie has its flaws, so the logistics are a little all over the place, but it's very much like, oh, I'm acting kind of like very similar to how my dad would, and I'm gonna kill all these people with these animatronics. Ooh, yeah, oh, I'm continuing the legacy. And so I think that's an interesting parallel.
To an extent we may not even fully
Tomorrow's my birthday. Happy early birthday, Brundle.
Understand yet. However, with Vanessa transferring to a security gig at the Pizzaplex following the events of AR, where we begin to actually get a glimpse into Vanessa's life and childhood is none other than Security Breach, back with Narrow Raven.
I hate that game. No, I'm kidding.
Now we get into Security Breach. However, before we do, I want to give a disclaimer that there will be topics discussed here that may be uncomfortable to certain viewers from the CDs in the game. So if you're not comfortable, don't worry. Before I talk about it, I will have text appear on screen with a timestamp for you to skip to. So let's get to the CDs, shall we? So we first have to talk about Vanessa's father, Bill. Now, we know that Bill would also have the last name of A, and many theorists and myself view this as a cover-up name that William uses in the game's universe. Something he does in the Silver Eyes trilogy with the name being Dave, and the movies with the name being Steve Raglan. However, we never did get a hint as to what William's fake name was in the games. And with Bill being so close to Will, it starts a conversation on who Bill really is.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think Bill is also like a way for like shorthand William, apparently, which is weird to me, but go figure.
And we do get some information on this Bill character that sounds awfully a lot like William. Bill is a horrible father and has manipulated Vanessa in many ways to the point in which she actively fears her father, even many years later, fearing that he is watching her at all times, even to the point in which when Bill is brought up, Vanessa goes nearly silent, whispering to herself, and then says that he's always watching. Now, we know this isn't...
Yeah, I mean, it's very much in line with, like, how you see William in the movie, like, act with Vanessa, too. Don't you know you're my favorite? Don't you know I care about you?
Glitchtrap talking, as at this point in the story, it seems Vanessa is in control of her own thoughts, and listens to Glitchtrap at times to know what she should do. Reluctantly
You don't understand. He manipulated and abused his kids because he loves them.
following Glitchtrap throughout the process. However, Vanessa only talks to herself here, which you could say is her talking to Glitchtrap, but we have no clue for sure, so it's sadly up to speculation there. Now I'm going to
I'd have
bring
to
up the
listen to
part
the
that some of you
tape
may be
again.
uncomfortable with. I will censor it, but if you don't want the story to be implied, please go to this time on screen to avoid it if you don't want to hear it,
Yeah,
as it
fine.
isn't super important to this theory. We know Bill's manipulation went really far, as when there was a custody battle between him and Vanessa's mother over custody, Bill manipulated Vanessa into lying in court, and after court, Vanessa's mother committed. Now, I'll pass on talking about this any further. However, the point is that Bill is very
I will
manipulative.
care about
and who knows
you.
what he did to make Vanessa agree to lying in court. However, we can continue with our Bill and William connections with proving that this whole story.
I wonder if that would imply, because I know under Vanessa being an Afton in the games, I have heard talk about like, oh, did he remarry after like Mrs. Afton #1, or would it be like the same mother? And I think that's an interesting discussion, because Mrs. Afton is like a character that we know next to nothing about. I mean, she logically had to exist unless you think that William Afton performed like mitosis and gave birth to like his kids through, I don't know, whatever. Like, I guess that would be an answer to us, like, what happened to Mrs. Afton.
Is true from Vanessa.
I never thought about that before, because, yeah, I remember that they brought up the mother, harming herself in the tapes, but again, I never made the correlation, like, oh, I mean, I know, oh, Bill William Afton, of course, but, like, I never thought about it that much.
In these tapes, you can.
Bye-bye! Can we get William the #1 dad mug? That's funny, yeah. Father of the Year goes to William Afton, yeah.
Also hear Gregory and his therapy sessions, in which at the end it's found out that Gregory's story is false, as if he's telling someone else's story. Which if you'd like to know more about Gregory's CDs, you should check out this video from T-Dreads. However, Vanessa never really tells her story. However, the therapist has the court documentations and everything else on file in these CDs, meaning that everything said about Bill here is the truth. Meaning these connections with Vanessa hating dark basements and dark areas, Bill being manipulative and a horrible father and husband, having a very similar name to William with the name Bill A, and William being known for having fake names throughout the franchise.
Yeah.
This then helps us connect not only what happened to Mrs. Afton, but also that Bill A is none other than William Afton, father to Vanessa A.
So if she was born in 1997 and there was like a court battle or whatever, and then Crying Child died in 1983, Elizabeth probably died somewhere in the 80s too, you know, probably like early on, either before or after the MCI. And then of course you have Michael, who's like the only living one barring like what happens to him in Sister Location. I was just thinking, because I've toyed around with the theory that like, especially if Afton had, like, at least two Mrs. Aftons, #1 and #2, like, if, you know, sort of, because they talk about, like, oh, in the court, whatever, your dad made you lie, so yeah, he'd get custody. I wonder if something similar could have happened with, like, the other kids. And it's the thought process is the whole, like, oh, the Fnaf 4 house that we see in, like, the mini-games in Fnaf 4 looks different to the house that we see in Midnight Motorist, and then, like, oh, wait, but if Afton scooped up Edwin's property after Secret of the Mimic or something and like turned that into his house, that house looks mighty different to both of the aforementioned houses. And so it's like, well, okay, like what the hell's going on here? And it's just like a thought process that I had was like, oh, what if like one house is the mother's, and then the other house is actually Afton's? But whole other topic.
Who ended up locking her in a dark basement and manipulated her to do his bidding. Something we see with the manipulation in the movies, and now in her future life working as a security guard under the AI version of William, and still being scared of her father to this day. Something that Vanessa is doing in the second FNAF movie.
Yeah.
With all this information combined that Vanessa is an Afton and her age, we can start to piece together when security breach takes place in the timeline of FNAF. Now, security breach's place in the timeline is really hard to start to get a grasp on. However, we can start to get that going with the whole entire daycare area in Security Breach. So let's go from the entrance and make our way around, shall we? So the first thing we have to note is this whiteboard that's just to the right of the room when you first enter the daycare.
Yeah.
On this whiteboard,
I
we actually get
remember
a
this.
lot of information that's going to help us out here with figuring out the time frame of when security breach takes place. So let's decipher these lines
I
of
love
text by
environmental
figuring out
storytelling.
what they even mean. So going from left to right, the first thing to note is how many guests are attending and which animatronic is attending this party. We can decipher that FR is Freddy, MY is Monty, RX is Roxy, and CH is Chica. The next would be the party package and the number that corresponds to it. This won't be too important to us here. Next is the date the party is taking place, and lastly,
actually, the law now, okay.
what the event is for, which we can decipher. BD is for a birthday,
Bendy and the machine.
GNNA for general or non-applicable, grad for graduation, and Badum for a bar mitzvah. Now, I'll explain the last one really fast, as this only appears for one room, even though it isn't important to our theory. If we make our way over to party rooms 8 and 9, we find a whiteboard detailing the party, and there's a phrase on this one. And sorry if I butcher this, anyone. That says, El Chaim, which is a Jewish saying meaning to life, and is sometimes said when there's a toast. So we can assume this would be a bar mitzvah due to its relation to the Jewish faith and culture. So,
considering, so I recently, I think I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw that apparently originally, Security Breach was supposed to just be like a survival game. They didn't have a story to it. Like when they were making Security Breach originally, did you miss El Chan? Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't want to butcher it, but apparently, so Security Breach wasn't supposed to have a story originally. The story came a little while after when Scott was like, "Hey, can you add this in? Can you add this in?" And common knowledge by now, when it came to Security Breach, Scott would just say, "Hey, could you add this into the game? Yeah, you just add that," and like he wouldn't give context to what any of it meant. He would just tell Stewell to add that, and then they did. And so my thought I had is that is something like this, the environmental storytelling, like the whole the graduation on the board, the general on the board, the general, and then like something like this. I wonder if that's like Scott saying can you add that into the game, or if that was. I wonder what is the ratio between what Stewell added in terms of story and like what Scott wanted in there.
Let's head back and read a line of this for you all. So, for example, on this room, we have 50 guests being visited by Chica, which they requested for Party Package 5, with the event taking place on the 15th for a bar mitzvah. This will be very important for the rooms we will be looking at here, being the birthday-related rooms, being room 1, 4, 6, 7, and 11. So, let's take a look into our first party room, being party room 1. Well, there isn't much to note. However, the start of a pattern here begins. In this room, a table full of purple party hats. And if we go into rooms 2 through 5, they all also have purple party hats only, whereas 6 through 11 have multicolored hats. So this already screams William Afton to me. However, at the moment, it's only just a cool reference and nothing more, right? Well, in the other birthday party rooms, 6, 7, and 11, there isn't really
6, 7?
much there of importance to us. However, room 4 is where the date starts to really fall into place. On this whiteboard of this room, we can decipher that this is for 4 guests being visited by Monty, with Party Package 1 taking place on the 9th of March with someone's 40th birthday, 4 chairs, no tableware, 4 hats, with a special request for balloons that say Yay 40. However, there's another interesting thing written on this whiteboard that's being covered up by this sheet of paper that details how only the Freddy and Friends birthday song can be sung.
No copyright.
This appears on 3 of the 5 birthday party rooms. However, behind this sheet of paper, we can read, "Don't let guest back," in the letter D, keeping it a secret from us what was meant to be here. However, I think we can get a good idea on what this word is once we take a look inside of this room. The first thing you'll see in this room is a singular lone table with 5 chairs, with 3 of them being occupied by Freddy, Roxy, and Chica, with 2 chairs empty, and the head of the table with a single slice of cake. Now, this is clearly Happiest Day coded, which is really odd to me, as this would mean 40 years after Happiest Day, essentially the 40th birthday of Happiest Day, right? Well, you'll see on what this word is once we take a look inside of this room. The first thing you'll see in this room is a singular lone table with 5 chairs, with 3 of them being occupied by Freddy, Roxy, and Chica, with 2 chairs empty,
Thank you for joining the disc. Yeah, we do have a Discord. I recommend read the rules. Please read the rules and get the reaction rules in the reaction rules tab.
And the head of the table with a single slice of cake. Now, this is clearly happiest day coded,
I don't know about happiest day coded,
which is
but,
really
you know,
odd to me, as
maybe
this
I
would
should
mean
shut
40
up and
years
listen.
after happiest day, essentially the 40th birthday of happiest day, right? Well, I don't think so, as there's more clues in this room that lead us to believe it's actually a different event. In this room, we can find newspapers laying on the floor that are all torn up. Now, sadly, we can't read these, as they're just black bars. However, this tells that this is a documented event that took place at some point. With our MCI imagery and the references to 5 everywhere, even back at the first whiteboard that has 4 moons and 1 sun to reference 5 yet again, with happiest day, I think we can say that the documented event this is referencing is the missing children's incident from 1985. So we can take 40 years and add that to 1985 to get 2025. Which is really good, as this means it takes place 2 years after FFPS. However, we're still missing that day. Well, luckily
2 years after security breach taking place, 2 years after FFPS, and of course between then you'd have to say FNAF AR and Help Wanted 1 happened. That is a very tight time frame.
all these party rooms
But
combined help us
impossible.
find the date this game takes place in 2025. If you go into each party room, you'll find no food, no open presents, and no sign of any guests. However, what you will find in the Yay 40 room is a cake, an open present that has Monty in it, and a slice of cake on the table, the only room where the party was already celebrated. So if we take a look at this room's whiteboard, we can find that this party took place on March 9th, meaning that
Wait, theory? What if all we know about FNAF was a lie? Everything before Help Wanted was just video games in the universe? No! God, no! No! God, no! You can't! Don't do it! Stop! No! Please! Notice how there's no FFA characters in AR or Help Wanted 1? Okay, but to be fair, it was the intent in AR to add Lefty eventually. Help Wanted 1. Thinking about it, those you could argue Helpy was kind of like always there. Okay. But no, the games that we played that made Biscott were not games. I mean, they are games in universe, but they are not lies. It's you've been fed misinformation by Hasbro Entertainment.
the game starts at 11 p.m. on March 9th and goes on to March 10th, the Monday of the week for security breach.
I can't believe Scott Cawthon would make games to, that we have to play to understand the story of the books.
Giving us a date for security breach being 11 p.m. on March 9th to 6 a.m. on March 10th, 2025, solidifying the date for this game after 4 years of searching. However, we can tell you more about this game with Gregory's story from before the events of the game on a website no one thought would be used for FNAF lore. Now we have to talk about something that almost no one talks about, which is 3 Game Jolt pages made by Steel Wolf 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, Glamrock Freddy's has nothing of importance to note. However, Vanessa and Gregory's do. First, we have to visit Vanessa's, as hers is the...
Wait, what the fuck? Sorry. My bad, but like, what? I've never seen this before. Where did this come from? I've never seen this before. I thought it was gonna be something like that Scott might have posted or whatever, but like...
quickest to explain here. So
I've
earlier
never
we
seen
mentioned
this
how
before.
Vanessa's last name could be A, but it's hard to tell as they all come from unused emails in FNAF AR. Well, luckily for us, Vanessa's Game Jolt page helps solve this issue. If you go and visit this page, you'll
Is it the thing from the Ravager from Minecraft?
instantly notice that Vanessa does have a last initial, the same one from AR being A. This helps us solidify that Vanessa's last name does canonly start with the letter A. However, that's not our bombshell for this theory. Rather, Gregory's account helps us give a timeline for this game. So on this account, Gregory details his travels in the Mega Pizzaplex for 31 entries that gives us a timeline of not just after Freddy's meltdown on stage, but also before this as well. Now,
why did no one ever talk about this? Why did no one ever talk? I've never seen this before.
we'll be covering all 31 here. so I'll put the link to this account in the description so you can all give it a read yourself. However, the first log on December 4th, 2023 details Gregory's first ever visit to the Pizzaplex after hours, saying that he's starting to learn the layout of the Pizzaplex and how when he goes through parts it can be eerie and creepy, and that sometimes the cameras are his best friend when watching out for things in the dark. Now we fast forward a little bit to something Gregory says about his New Year's resolution on December 18th, 2023 for 2024. This being the more major thing, being to figure out what's going on in the Pizzaplex and live to see 2024. Now this luckily gives us a time.
By the way, hello Audio Bloxer, hello Bruce, hello Sugar Gaming, hello the one and only Dusty, hello Pikmin Lorekeeper. So I spotted your names before, but I forgot to read them.
Time frame of when the Pizzaplex was at least open during December of 2023 going into 2024. Now, another thing I want to bring up is an entry log number 20, which is posted on December 24th. Gregory brings up a mention of a human-like staff bot that's medically related. Now, me and fellow theorists saw this and instantly thought the same thing.
Where'd you find
Dolly.
this?
However, the strange thing is that in all of Security Breach, there is no medically related staff bot anywhere. However, by using this, we can actually find Nurse Dolly's hospital in Security Breach. When thinking of a medical bay, the first place I looked was where Freddy takes us in the beginning of the game. However, I was wrong. There's no signs of Nurse Dolly or her hospital here. So I decided to look where Nurse Dolly would be repairing animatronics.
Yeah,
and it led me to under the show stage what I believe to be Dolly's hospital. After looking at Dolly's hospital in Secret of the Mimic, I noted this wall pattern.
Is that you, Dolly? Ha-dee ha. No, it's my wife.
I decided to use it to see if I could cross-connect it to anything. And sure enough, it appears in this room, fit with conveyor belts, animatronic endos to work on, and a singular chair in the center, reminiscent of Captain Springlock from Secret of the Mimic, with an area nearby full of animatronic endos ready to learn and be worked on by Nurse Dolly. So I believe that where Gregory came across his human-like nurse staff bot was in this room where you repair Freddy throughout the game, and also five endos in a cage that in Morse code spell out AI. So let me know what you all think of that. But to get back,
just got my food and going home. Oh, okay. I thought you already had your McDonald's. Give me my Big Mac. Okay. So this is saying that there was like a version of Nurse Dolly present in the Pizzaplex somewhere. Okay. I mean, I'm not. See, when I think of the medical thing, I was thinking back to the Endo warehouse, which, to be fair, is nearby where this is. I'm thinking. I'm forming thoughts in my head. Big brain, big brain. I mean, so yeah, like, they're close by in proximity. So, like, the Endo warehouse and the parts and service area, they're close. And in the Endo warehouse, I remember it because it was something that was brought up before. The doors in the Endo warehouse, if I recall correctly, have some interesting imagery. I know, like, one of them, you can see, like, Glitchtrap's silhouette sprayed paint onto the door. There's one that looks like it has, like, the Fnaf 4 bed, but it's kind of like, it's also, like, a hospital bed at the same time, and there might be, like, one of the kids kind of looks like Cassidy, or something like that, yada, yada, yada. And it's an interesting through line, especially with the whole, like, Edwin's property becoming Afton's. Yo, let me have some. Dude, I want McDonald's now. You made me hungry.
On track, in the next log, Gregory meets Glamrock Freddy.
Is this suggesting that they dragged Dolly all the way to SB? To be fair, FNAF World is canon? Well, yeah. But to be fair, Monty was originally, sorry, even better, Roxy was originally an Edwin character, because we see in Secret of the Mimic that Roxy was like a puppet, a hand puppet that we believe Fiona made. And I think even, but there was also, there was a Monty animatronic. Yeah, Monty was one of the animatronics. It was a Springlock animatronic. It's one of the animatronics you get in the, in one of the endings of the game when you go down to, like, the FNAF 1 prototype area. The doctor is in an... Thank you. My name is Edwin and I made the Mimic. Yeah. Please tell me FNAF World isn't canon. No, FNAF World's canon. FNAF World is in fact canon. But yeah, so, like, Security Breach and Secret of the Mimic kind of already have set up that, like, Fazbear Entertainment has used old characters that originally belonged to Edwin via, Roxy and Monty. So the concept of them using Dolly isn't very far-fetched, to be honest. It's just that we haven't seen what that character might look like presently. And it would only be like in vague reference, I suppose.
On Christmas Day, calling it a miracle that Freddy isn't hostile. Now, we know this isn't what happens in the game, as there's a few key details here that are given to us a few logs later. In log 26 on December 29th,
to be fair, audio blocks, or if it's any help, I've actually talked about FNAF World being canon on my channel before in previous videos. You can go check those out.
Glamrock Freddy tells Gregory to hide in his chest compartment, where Gregory refuses to do so. However, in log number 27 on December 30th, Gregory gets cornered and can only escape to the animatronic-infested daycare, in which he then accepts this offer. Now, we could use this to confirm this isn't what happens in Security Breach, but what happens before it. In Security Breach, Gregory starts at Glamrock Freddy's chest, and Glamrock Freddy is worried that there's a person in there and not a cake or present. As well, this event from the log taking place is across the whole Pizzaplex and location. Then in
I thought everybody knew this, i.e. Old Man Consequences in 50/20 mode. FNAF World being canon is something that a lot of people struggle to, swallow in a way, because of how the game, of course, presents itself, and the fact that it has multiple endings, and, it's a very meta game in general. I think, when you get to meta aspects of FNAF, it's a bit of a rabbit hole. I've talked about it myself, but again, as much as I might be shamelessly plugging, I have made a few theories in the past about FNAF's, use of the fourth wall, ha ha ha, hee hee hoo, and how FNAF World in particular is actually a lot more important than a lot of people give it credit for. And again, it's a whole thing, and if you want an in-depth analysis, I do recommend watching the videos I made a little while ago, but neither here nor there.
log number 29 on January 1st, Gregory gets word
FNAF World is canon because it's a game in the universe as well, is it? I don't remember FNAF World being an in-universe game. I mean, I could see it, but I don't remember a reference to that.
about Freddy's power, and then goes missing for 4 days from January 1st to January 4th to come back and find 2 battery upgrades for Freddy in log number 30. After Gregory disappears, then comes back on June 14th, 2024, talking about how the friendly faces he met there were actually
Imagine Gregory in the Pizzaplex or whatever doing all of this. He takes out his iPhone oh wait, I gotta post to my blog.
not so friendly after all, with the final log being that he's thinking of upgrading Freddy to solar power. This continues to help us further decipher that this isn't Security Breach either, as Freddy in the main game is not ran on solar power, but just recharge
Number
stations.
1 Gregory
However,
hater right
after
here.
this, Gregory goes radio silent and hasn't posted since. This is presumably when Gregory gets taken over by Glitchtrap, and 8 months later is when he breaks free and the events of Security Breach takes place. This helps us explain why Gregory knew to hide inside of Glamrock Freddy, as that was the only animatronic that was friendly to him 8 months prior, and why Glamrock Freddy recognized.
That would imply that, I mean, to be fair, I guess Escape the Pizzaplex also does something like this too, but dude was wandering and adventuring around the Pizzaplex with Glamrock Freddy a lot, even prior to the game. Where are this kid's parents?
recognizes Gregory's name, but can't pinpoint as to where he met him, as since he started in safe mode, some of his memories are clouded still. This then giving our story of Gregory from December 4th, 2023 to March of 2025, a timeline of 15 months in between Gregory first starting to investigate the Pizzaplex and when the events of Security Breach take place.
Dude, this kid has
everyone.
no life.
It's real life me. First time I'm ever doing something like this, and
Woo!
really quick, if you do
Baller
kind of like this
sweater.
style, let me know. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, I got lazy, and I didn't want to do any more voiceovers with a bunch of PNG tuber editing and all that stuff, so you're getting this for
Yeah, I
now.
know the feeling.
I even got the Fnaf
Baller, I will say, I know I dunked on it before, but that is a mighty fine collection of pops there. But even more so, I got my stage bucket yesterday. It's so fire.
2 movie poster for this, and ignore these presents. Those are for One More Night of Christmas. We're supporting Fee in America if you want to come hang out.
Yeah! Ooh! Ooh, yeah, guys! I posted a video on my channel today that you can go and watch if you have the time, but I'm gonna be there. On December 19th to the 21st, there's going to be a FNAF charity event hosted by this guy right here, Raven. We're watching his video right now. It's going to be a charity event for Feeding America. Everything goes to them. It's a very great cause, and I'm going to be there somewhere. I will.
December 19th to the 21st, I'll be live doing that. And you have a chance of winning something from this pile. Minus this Adventure Time cookbook. I got that from my girlfriend for Christmas. Anyways, I'm here to talk about the FNAF 2 movie, and I have the script in my hand right now because I notoriously suck at remembering scripts.
Yeah,
So
me too, buddy.
Let's get into it. So, the FNAF 2 movie is really interesting with a lot of things that comes to Vanessa's whole entire life factor into being an Afton. So, a lot of this movie is about Vanessa moving along and trying to get...
Holy Peak, I didn't know you were going to be there too. Holy Peak, there's going to be a lot of people. I should say, there's going to be a lot of other FNAF tubers at the event. It's going to be, I know, I mean, there, More Immortal is going to be there. No Raven's going to be there. I believe there was like a whole list of people. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there's going to be a lot of other people there. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun activities. I really hope, I think now Raven still has to tell me which events I'm going to be in, or sorry, like which activities I'm going to be in. I hope to God he puts me in Dead by Daylight so I can clown on everybody else, but that's besides the point.
over her fears of William.
Guys, I theorize that Vanessa is adopted. No. I think it kind of, I mean, maybe, but I think this is just, I mean, this whole theory is kind of selling me on the idea that Vanessa is an Afton in the games.
So one thing that she does is that she takes 4 items out of a box. And now I know for a fact one of these is Garrett's plane, and 3 others, which I know marbles is one of them, then there's a book, and I think a mirror?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell in the movie. I'm going to rewatch the movie when I get the chance, but yeah.
Welcome home.
There's those 4 items.
Give me your McDonald's. What do we think so far? The whole pod in specific, so I can ignore this part. I will say, so you have sold me on the idea that Vanessa is an Afton in the games. I was always kind of like, I could see it. I wasn't sure about it because of the whole 2035 thing. However, if I'm gonna stew with 2025 for a little bit. Posture, a cup of tea, tea dreads, and more will be there. That's true. All of those people that he just said, they're gonna be there. And again, it is for a great cause. So if you can, of course, donations will be appreciated, and it's all for a great cause. You and DVD Posture is gonna be there. Fire. 2025 was really interesting to me. The logic you used, I think, is very, like, I could see it. I definitely could see it. That's, like, a very nice find. I will, again, the whole, I think we're really, like, okay, I'm really starting to think about it now. What you found on GameJolt. How did you find that? I have never seen anyone talk about that. I have never seen that before. That is something, like, that is, like, newfound. That actually flabbergasted me. I'm like, why did no one ever see this before? It's never been talked about. But, like, it's like 2025. If we're saying that FNAF 6 takes place in 2023, and then, of course, AR and Help Wanted take place after FNAF 6. Okay. To be fair, I can understand the idea that, oh, does FNAF Help Wanted take place after FNAF 6? I know that's something. Which, okay. Sure, maybe. But, like... Okay, okay, big if. If Help Wanted takes place after FNAF 6, and then, of course, AR, which I do think... okay. If, that's like a very short time frame between FNAF 6 and 2025. That was a lot of ifs, sorry. Of course, I could see there being an argument that FNAF AR and Help Wanted don't take place after FNAF 6 and instead take place prior to it at some point. I'm not sure about the logistics of that, because weird, but I could see it. Sorry, what was your question? Oh yeah, where should I share the link to my FNAF lore doc? In the Discord, you could post it in, like, the FNAF general chat or something. FNAF 2, War Athens remains in security breach? Probably. Me and Fazan are uber autism nerds. You know what, to be fair, you go, salute, applause. We're all autistic. Yeah, me too, buddy, me too. So, I applaud your autism. take place before FFPS. Okay. The reason why Phasma Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity is because Mr. Burroughs is the sole owner and not a board of people. Isn't that okay? Yeah, so I do remember that. Doesn't it revert to an LLC after FNAF 6? Isn't that a thing? Because LLC is no wait. I might be mixing it up, but doesn't Phasma Entertainment become something else after FNAF 6? Like it used to be an LLC? Yeah, okay. Well, like one of the two, I don't remember. So I could see that. Okay. Apparently I'm not autistic, I just have really, really powerful ADHD. Good enough. Greetings, Doc. Hello, Theta.
And essentially,
They're not LLC, but they changed to something else. Okay.
she uses those and white noise to fall asleep and essentially confront her father in her head. So she does this and she decides to run away because it was kind of weird how she ran away. I mean, she instantly went from,
To be fair, Matthew Lillard is very Matthew Lillard, so.
I'm not scared of you, to running, but whatever.
I think the issue, I mean, again, this is like a movie criticism, is that they should have had, like, scenarios, like, sequences like that throughout the movie, instead of her, like, turning around and shooting him right at the end of that sequence. Or even, like, if you wanted to do that, just have, like, more of that throughout the movie to really display, like, how bad her trauma is and how she's struggling with it and whatnot. And it would have been, like, really powerful if there was a little bit more, like, build-up and sustenance there. It's still one of the better scenes in the movie, but, Doc, why don't you do a face reveal when I get 100k?
So as she runs away, she turns into Kid Vanessa. Really short little Kid Vanessa.
Honestly, don't see. It's really weird. It's just like those games. I think just the one hang-up I have, and there might be other ones if I really started like looking into it, but one of the hang-ups I have is that like they had planned to add Lefty to AR. That was like they had planned to do it, but they, the game shut down for whatever reason. It's just like, to be fair, they never added them, so like that's not canon. But it was like there was an intent there.
And she decides to go behind like a curtain.
My M2 theory being my apologies. And since M2 War Afton's remains, Afton's soul is partly attached to M2. Remember, M2 has the cheek muscle on his SB. I don't know about like his soul. I mean, maybe. It depends on how you take UCN, I think. I think at the very least you could say like Afton's agony somehow influenced the mimic. Thing is, if Lefty was that important to AR, Scott wouldn't have let AR die. I mean, was that a Scott thing or was it an Illumix thing? To be fair, because Illumix, I think, if I recall correctly, not the best company. Wasn't managed very well. Toy Chica is the mimic, yeah.
Or something. I'm not exactly sure what it was.
Probably.
But she comes across Circus Baby. Now, Circus Baby is really important to this, as Circus Baby obviously is, well, Elizabeth Afton in the game.
Scott can remaster games. Maybe that's what Survival Crew was supposed to be.
Games, which is William Afton's daughter. Now, one thing that a lot of people have brought up is that Vanessa may or may not be some sort of representation of Elizabeth or recreation. It's weird.
Yeah.
So I'm here to tell you that that's wrong because of this.
Okay, thank you.
So one thing that goes on with Circus Baby is her eye color. Her eye color tells us if she's possessed or not. Blue being that she isn't, and green that she is.
Yeah.
So what's Circus Baby's eye color in the movie? Well, in the movie, it's really hard to tell. As you can see right over here.
I think there were like BTS pictures that people released that show it, and yeah, it is green. It is green. Her eyes are green.
Somewhere. Her eye might be green, it might be blue, it's hard to tell, but there's actually something that helps us out here. Now, this being...
Can we talk about this for a minute? I don't know if you guys have seen, like, so they actually did show the Springtrap costume, too. So, as you know, in the post-credits for the movie, Springtrap appears, and there were behind-the-scenes pictures that were released that actually show the costume in all its, Springtrap glory. And it's not bad. It depends on the angle, but it also it's a little rough around the edges. And hopefully they work on it for like the third movie that they're obviously gonna do. However, again, I mentioned it before, there was also pictures of Circus Baby that came out, and they did say that the Circus Baby prop that they used weighed 600 pounds. And is actually like the same height that she is in the games. If you don't know, if you don't remember, there was a blueprint in Sister Location that showed, details about Circus Baby, particularly like the functions, height, weight, of course, all of that, yada yada. And it was for the movie, they made it very game accurate. Very, very, very game accurate. Literally, if you compare the two side by side, you'd think you were staring at Circus Baby's model, like, ripped straight from the games. Like, very, very accurate. It's, like, to the T accurate. And so I can only wonder, and this is why I was flabbergasted about it. So for the 5-second cameo of Circus Baby, you made one of the most, if not the most accurate animatronic that you've adapted this far. But when it came to Springtrap, the man, the myth, the legend, straight from Scott Cawthon's ass. Anyway, we need to count the fingers to make sure it's not secretly Toy Bonnie. The design isn't final, I believe. I'm pretty sure that was, hopefully they do work on it for the third movie. I hope they do. But I believe that was the one that they used in, like, the post-credit scene. Was just entirely just setting up the third, yeah.
And a post from one of the actresses, sitting right in front of.
Oh yeah, there we go. There was another one. There was like a few more, but this one is, again, like, look at her. Oh my god.
Circus Baby. Now, as you can see here, her eye color is green. So it's really weird because in the movie, her eye color does glow blue when the lights turn on. Now, I think that's just the animatronic, but the green part is what's more important here. As green obviously means she's possessed already, but not by Vanessa. Vanessa's alive. So that means that Elizabeth and Vanessa are two different.
It's really unfortunate because on one hand, it would be wild for them. I mean, but to be fair, they've already split the character of Michael Afton between two different people. But I could totally see Elizabeth Afton being adapted, like, later on in the movies. FNAF 3, I'm not sure about, but, like, I can see them doing more movies after the third one. Or, like, at least, like, something else after the third one. It would be, like, a TV show, another series, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised. I really hope they don't do, like, Elizabeth stuff in the third movie. I feel like that would be too jam-packed. I really want them to focus more on Springtrap and whatnot. Because, again, biting off more than you could chew is what really brought the second movie down, in my opinion.
Characters. So, regardless, we can't really say that, oh, well, Vanessa can't.
But also, to be fair, I think they're gonna base the third movie off of, like, FNAF 3 and The Fourth Closet, because the previous two movies were very loosely based on the Silver Eyes and then the Twisted Ones.
Be an Afton because of whatever reason you might have with Elizabeth. Maybe she's just a recreation or, like, some kidnapped kid, which might be Garrett or something like that. I don't know. But, yeah. So
I didn't take Garrett. I took you.
There's that, and then obviously there's also Michael Afton in this movie, who isn't Mike Schmidt. So Michael Afton does come across Vanessa. I think towards the end of the movie is like the first time they ever meet. And when they do first meet, the coolest thing ever is that
I think the one thing I hope for the FNAF 3 movie is that they finally decide to, like, lengthen the runtime to at least 2 hours. Like, bro, you need to add another 15-20 minutes to these movies, at least.
First thing Michael says to her is, "Hey, sis." That's it. "Hey, sis," goes on a monologue, gets clotheslined by Jeremiah, and yeah, that's his whole entire deal. Well, not his whole entire deal, but you know what I mean. And, well, that's kind of all I really got. Vanessa really is just an Afton, and it really does help us get to Security Breach's place in the timeline.
Yeah.
There's more that I do want to bring up that I will pretty quick here. So one thing I really wanted to bring up from the movie is UCN. You know, that's my favorite thing. And, well, UCN is really interesting in this movie. It takes place for possibly 2 years is what it's hinted at. Now, the reason why 2 years is interesting to me is that so far we've played Security Breach in 2025, and I believe FFPS might be in 2023.
Sure.
So the reason for this is that in that game, there's an audio file called HRY223 and the insanity ending. In this insanity ending, well, you're learning things you shouldn't. And, well, HRY223, people speculate, myself included, that it's Henry 2023.
Yeah.
So if we have UCN taking place for 2 years, we take that from the movie.
Do you think it would have been very, like, that difficult for Scott to add the 0? Like, come on, man. Semantics, dude. Semantics.
Into the games.
Imagine it's revealed Mike's dad is Edwin, and after Mike got kidnapped by Afton, he recreated Mike as a robot. I didn't take your brother, Mike. I took you. Oh my god. I made the joke before, like, I wouldn't be, like, it's kind of sad, but I wouldn't be surprised if Scott really pulls out, like, not only did we split Michael Afton into two different characters between Michael Afton and then Mike Schmidt, but Mike Schmidt is also secretly a Michael Afton. Sorry, like, is also secretly an Afton, not a Michael. Oh god. See, this is why it's just such a stupid decision. Like, oh my god. But anyway, like, imagine like the twist of FNAF 3 movies that Mike Schmidt is also an Afton. They're all Aftons. They're all Aftons. Hello, Jalen. Oh. Yeah, it's literally FNAF 5 Nights at Freddy's into the Michael verse.
Perfectly between the time frame of FFPS to Security Breach. 2 years between those games.
SB low-key taking place in 2035, not gonna lie. Well, apparently, according to Narraven, it might take place in 2025 instead.
AR in 2019, meaning that odds are Fazbear Entertainment didn't have pizzeria locations, but they did have ideas for video games or Fazbear Funtime service, stuff like that. My interpretation. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah.
Okay, well, to be fair, if you say that Help Wanted and AR take place prior to, particularly Help Wanted, that whole game was created to, like, kind of poke fun at the old tragedies surrounding the Fazbear brand. You know, it's supposed to be, like, ironic, sarcastic, you know, kind of very dry humor, so to speak, like, haha, like, oh, look at all this funny stuff, oh, yeah, animatronics move at night, haha. You know, it was supposed to be, you know, ironic. There was another word I thought of, but brand malfunction. It's supposed to be, you know, ironic, very dark humor in a way or something. It's supposed to be like, oh, you know, these things, like, oh, these stupid, or, you know, these silly things, like the animatronics moving at night, that, oh, it's so funny. And then, like, here's these experiences that totally didn't happen or whatever. Like, yeah. And it could be, like, especially, you know, like, years after the whole fact, you know, like, literally decades, like, oh, poking fun at all these old tragedies. Like, it's in character for them, of course, and it makes sense. Especially if, like, oh, we're opening another location soon, and we want it to do well, so we're making this game. Like, yeah. Maybe.
I do want to get back into just, like, the normal stuff now, so bye, guys.
The shadows.
Alright, so what should you take away from this theory? Well,
the 2035 drawing does not say 2035. I'd have to look at it again. I'm so confident in that. Henry is Afton, Garrett is Afton, everyone is Afton. You're Afton, I'm Afton, we're all Afton. Is there anybody else that's Afton I should know about?
we made points that help us point to the timeline of Gregory's
bye-bye,
story,
don't ask
starting
me
on
anything.
December 4th,
Thank you for stopping by.
2023, and Security Breach starting on March 9th, 2025.
The drawing is 20x5. You know, I could, you know what? I could see that. A good theorist to watch for theories is Fnaf. I like Fnaf a lot. There's a lot of stuff he's, like, thought of and discovered that I'm like, oh yeah, that's big brain. But it's usually the conclusions that he comes to that I'm like, you know, you had a very good arc, but then the landing, you kind of broke your ankle. But I think he's very entertaining videos, very good presentation.
Next is Vanessa's story starting in 2019, placing Help Wanted and AR in the 2019 to 2020 timeframe. The next thing to take away is that Vanessa is most certainly an Afton in the game's universe, with Bill being William Afton's
Let me just read this real quick and
cover-up
let me
name,
finish.
resulting
let me
in
let him
William
finish.
locking Vanessa in his basement. Next is that odds
Baller.
are the parts and service area in Security Breach is Dolly's hospital from Secret of the Mimic.
Is a strong word. Like, I could see it being like her, like, hospital in general, but being the same one from Sodom is a little bit in my opinion. That's a little kind of semantics there.
Just renovated for modern purposes. Now, before you go, I want to shout out a few amazing people who helped make this theory come to fruition. First, I want to shout out a few mimics.
I wanted to read that. So, Gregory's story from December 4th, 2023 to March 9th. Oh. Booyah. March 9th, 2025, which was from, like, the Game Jolt thing. Vanessa's story begins in 2019, placing Help Wanted and AR in 2019-2020. When did AR come out again? Was it 2020? Vanessa is an Afton in the game's universe, meaning Bill is William Afton, yeah. And then the whole, like, dolly thing. And there is nothing in Help Wanted that's, like, of course, FNAF 6 related. It's only up to really, like, a still location. That one I could see. It's weird, but I could see it. I could see it. AR... Yeah, I guess I could see it. I think... I mean... Sure. I was gonna say, like... After Sister Location, it feels like there was, like, a... Like, the franchise was generally telling a more straightforward narrative, and that, like, oh, this game is after the other. But in saying that, Help Wanted 2, like, takes place before Ruin. And then... Secret of the Mimic is, of course, a prequel too, of course. Yeah. So I could see, like, after FNAF 6, okay, we're gonna take a small step back to, like, Help Wanted and whatever. It's weird, but sure.
Just renovated for modern purposes. Now, before you go, I want to shout out
I was
a few
absorbing
amazing
the
people
information.
who helped make this theory come to fruition.
Can you give my channel a shout out? The name is Jalen Rickendallers Gaming. Shout out to Jalen Rickendallers Gaming.
First, I want to shout out is, of course, Underscore.
Who is Bill? Bill is William Afton.
For not only listening to my ramblings, but also helping me piece them together and letting me use his website contain all the
Purple
FNAF
guy.
AR emails that I will have linked in the description. Next, I want to thank Fazbear Entertainment Corporation for also listening to my ramblings and helping me investigate the Yay 40 room. And the same thing goes to Terminal Error, who did the same thing, and even helped provide some of the images you saw in today's video. The next shout out goes to Windy Spring System, who made the pixel art for Bill in this video. Lastly, to Exploding Loaf, who helped with the hands for the thumbnail you all are seeing for this video.
Avengers.
Thank you 5 so much for all the help, and if you, the viewer, can go...
Could say it was difficult to put the pieces together. My name... My name is Narraven. I made this SB theory. It was difficult to put the pieces together.
Show them all some love and support. That'd mean the world to me. Now I'm going to hold you for one more moment to ask you all to join on stream for the 19th to the 21st to join me and many other creators for one more night of Christmas supporting Feeding America. We're gonna have a lot of giveaways and cool fan game reveals and more for you all. So even if you can't donate, just being there means the world to us.
Absolutely. Even if you can't donate, if you can show up, watch the stream, it'd be awesome. And of course, if you can donate, it's much appreciated. It's for a great cause, Feeding America, and I'm gonna be there for something. Probably something. And whatever. So, like, if you like me, and I know everyone likes me, you have to. You have no choice. I'll be there. So it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun.
Now, as always, if you enjoyed, hit that like, subscribe button so we reach our goal of 7,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
Vanessa being an Afton is pretty on the nose at this point, lol, honey. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, if there's anything I'm gonna take most, like, oh yeah, I believe that from this theory, yeah, like, Vanessa is an Afton. Yeah, it's definitely, Vanessa is an Afton. Like, yes, absolutely. Yeah, 110% is an Afton. I want to look at those Game Jolt, things later, probably on my own time, because again, I've never seen that before. That was very interesting, like, very good find, I suppose. But no, it was definitely a good find. I'm just like flabbergasted that no one ever found that before. So security breach in 2025. I think I'm gonna, like, look at it more, probably on my own time as well. The whole, like, oh, if there's anything in Help Wanted or AR that necessarily contradicts that. Because a lot of people, of course, take it like, oh, those two games happen after FNAF 6. And it's probably the whole, like, oh, security breach is in 2035. But I've also been an advocate of the idea that when you towards, like, the latter end of the timeline, there's some tighter stuff. Again, I think Sister Location happens after FNAF 3. I don't think it's, like, after, I don't think it happens, like, in the 2000s or whatever. I think it's after FNAF 3. So, I could see it. Heck, look, okay, here's the thing. I've kind of been playing with the idea that FNAF 6 might not even take place in 2023. I think I still do believe it's in 2023, but I have toyed with that idea too. However, I think, 223, what else is it referring to, right? If it's referring to anything else, that'd be kind of stupid. But to be fair, it's Scott Cawthon. Again, it's just a very tight timeline of... Well, no. Because, again... Okay. We looked all over for AR and Help Wanted. The only thing from FFPS in those games is some of the posters in Curse of Dreadbear. Okay. To be fair, okay, wait. In bringing up Curse of Dreadbear, since you did bring that up, and I thank you for bringing it up because I didn't think about it. That Curse of Dreadbear does have the imagery. Well, okay, you say that in this, that like, oh, Michael's outside of the graveyard, and like, oh, that could represent that he's still alive. In Curse of Dreadbear, there was the imagery with, of course, like Dreadbear hanging over, very large in the sky, and you have the graves surrounding the purple grave, which would be like, oh, the purple grave is supposed to represent William Afton, then the other graves are the children, and then, oh, Curse of, Dreadbear is supposed to represent, like, the vengeful spirit or something. Which, to me, I think that plays into, like, kind of UCN. Like, vengeful spirit holding William Afton and torturing him. I think COD is supposed to be after FFPS in terms of timeline. That those short and quick cover-up DLC. I'm thinking about it. I don't know if you can hear my tapping, but I'm thinking about it. I mean, it's always a question. So, like, I guess this is a question of, like, okay, so... In terms of Help One into the game happening and, like, Vanessa playing it, does she, like, okay, let's put on this headset, guys, let me play it a little bit, take it off, come back, like, 2 days later or something? Like, what if, like, I wonder what the timeline, I don't think there's anything to really, like, say, like, at what, what measurement of time does she complete Help Wanted in? Because, of course, like, we're playing it, and we can pick up, put on, take off the headset, whatever. Call of Duty takes place after FFPS. Can you voice that Springtrap and voice that Michael is sus in the next YouTube short? Maybe. I don't think we play as Vanessa in COD. I think there's an audio recording / agony thing. You don't think we play as Vanessa in COD, really? I think that's an audio recording / agony thing. What do you mean by agony thing? Do you mean like who we play as is an agony thing? Or, like, what do you mean by that? Am I crazy? What is COD? It's Curse of Dreadbear. It's the DLC for Help Wanted. Hello, Calipit. Yeah, it's Curse of Dreadbear. It requires 2 agony-heavy items to get that Easter egg. What are the items again? Are you talking about the Vanny Mask, or what were the items? It's been a while, so I'm not... I need to brush up on my Dreadbear lore. COD is Call of Duty. It's Curse of Dreadbear. For FNAF, we're talking about Curse of Dreadbear. In the FNAF general? Yeah. Oh, that or FNAF theorizing, whichever you prefer. Like, either of the two work. So we play as whoever, but the Glitch Trap plush and Vanny Mask are revolved around agony in terms of how they're obtained and in nature, you mean, yeah. Isn't it Vanny Mask and the Glitch? Yeah, the Glitch Trap plush. Okay. So, let's walk through this for a minute, because we did briefly mention it before. Glitch Trap. Or, like, we see that the Mimic was wearing probably William Afton's remains in Security Breach or whatever. The whole burn trap thing. And it is generally, like, a theory that the Mimic might have been, like, infected or influenced or whatever by William Afton's agony, which is why he has a lot of, Afton-isms. And so, the way you destroy Glitch Trap in Help Wanted 2, destroy in quotations, whatever, is that you, if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in one top of the VC, and I can answer everyone's questions. Oh yeah, sure, okay. Do you want a DM VC? Do you want to do like the OMN VC, or do you want to do like DM VC? Holy Lord. While I wait, I hope everyone's having a good day or a good night, whichever it is for you. Thank you for everyone who's been watching and joining stream. I hope you've been enjoying me watching FNAF theory content. What on earth happened in the It Was Me, Michael Part 3? No spoilers. Okay. So...
There he is.
Okay. So I wanted to since you're here now. I was walking this in my head. So correct me if I'm wrong. But by the way, everybody in chat, Narrow Raven is in VC right now with me.
Hello.
In Help Wanted 2, the way you in the Princess Quest ending, is it you give old man consequences or the old guy? Is it the Vanny mask or then he gives you the plush, right? And you're saying
that you
go ahead.
Yeah, you give him the Vanny mask, and in return, he gives you the plush, saying that it is a fair trade.
Yeah, and you were saying that those two items you believe are like very agony oriented.
Yes, because Glitchtrap, I mean, we can all agree, has something to do with agony, with how he's depicted, especially in his first ever appearance, with that whole entire like black and purple look.
Yeah.
And the way to get Vanny's mask is to use a Glitchtrap key.
Yeah. Okay.
So those two items to me have something to do with agony base, and with an item from a DLC coming into the main game that shouldn't be there, then unlocking an audio file that shouldn't be there. It seems very either agony related or something that Glitchtrap caused.
Okay. I can see it. I can see it. And the reason I brought up the whole Help Wanted 2 thing is because by giving when you get that plush in Help Wanted 2, you give it to Vanny or give it to Moon, then he gives it to Vanny, and then she kills the Glitchtrap, which if I had to interpret that, that would be like destroying William Afton's agony that had been infecting the Mimic program, or whatever you want to refer to it as. So saying that those two items have agony involved, I can see it. I can see it. In the first Princess Quest, the lock is purple, and in 3, it's green. I don't know what that means, but I just noticed that earlier. That, by the way, that was Meatloafers.
I mean, the lock in Help Wanted 1's ending is also green. There's a green light shining on it in Help Wanted 1's trapped ending.
And again, you mentioned the purple key it's the purple key that you used to open the basement in the Grim Foxy level, right?
Yep.
In Help Wanted?
Yep.
Okay. And then again, I can't help but draw the comparisons to Help Wanted 2, because the sequels. And then the coin you use to play Princess Quest 4 in Help Wanted 2, very much like that key, was like kind of glitching purple. It was like gold, but glitch trappiness. So again, I think there's a through line there of some sort in the Help Wanted 2 ending.
No, it doesn't make sense why Glitchtrap would be helping with that coin, considering that it literally leads to his death. I think that's something that a different Mimic program is trying to help with, because Mystic Hippo, who literally like breaks the fourth wall consistently, gives us that coin.
How do you get the coin in is it after you complete all the levels? How do you get the coin in Help Wanted 2 again?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's after you complete the game. Mystic Hippo will have a coin in like the coin slot of her machine.
Yeah.
And she'll say to take it and use it, essentially.
Yeah. I know originally it was like in the code of the game that they originally intended Vanessa to be the one that like hints towards that ending or whatever, but they replaced it with Mystic Hippo.
Yeah. You were supposed to hear. I think Mystic Hippo was supposed to like reference Vanessa in some way.
Okay. I'm connecting my brain cells. Green Mimic. In Help Wanted 2 ending, what do you think Moon was there with the Glitchtrap plush? What do you think Moon represents in that regard?
I think Moon is meant to represent Edwin, because Edwin comes back to the Pizzaplex many years later to try and exactly stop the Mimic and Glitchtrap and all that stuff. But in the books, he fails. In this, he succeeds.
Okay. That reminded me. I did think about it before. So you were saying that you think the whole like killing Glitchtrap and Help Wanted 2, that is like another mimic program trying to stop/help in quotations the other, like another version of the mimic program, because we know that there are like two versions of the mimic. There's Mimic 01 and then Mimic 2, of course.
Oh, there's Mimic 3 too, which is
Oh
crazy.
yeah. Yeah. So off the top of my head, so in Secret of the Mimic, we have Fiona, or Fiona 10-4 something.
Yeah.
And that is the Mimic 1, that is M1, and M2
Mhm.
was based off of M1's program, but M2
Mhm.
is like the physical mimic that we see throughout that game, and presumably in like Security Breach Ruin. And in I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I believe that she tries to get Arnold to help her. So she sends Arnold to Edwin's house, and she wants Edwin to help fix M1 because there's
Yeah.
something wrong with it.
Yep.
And so off the top of my head, and I'm not sure about the logistics of this, but assuming that, okay, here's another one. Do you think Mixis is the same, like Fiona machine that we saw in Secret of the Mimic?
So, okay, I have not said this theory publicly because it's not enough for a video, so I'm gonna drop it on your stream.
That's
So,
fine. Getting the inside scoop here, folks.
yes. So, what's the last thing we see in Help Wanted 2 in that update? It's Van driving away with the Mex's machine from the fake MCM location. We're supposed to ask ourselves what the secret of the mimic is. I think what it is that in that ending where everything burns down, the mimic gets away and Fazbear Entertainment still wanted the mimic, so they went to retrieve the only thing that could have the mimic within it, which was the F10N4 machine that later turned into the Mex's machine. That still runs on the same computers that MCM used way back when. Those same little old classic box computers. I think that's a secret of the mimic, is that F10N4 Fiona is still involved in the modern story.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. You can't see it, but I'm stroking my chin in thought. Um. No, I could definitely. I mean, yeah, I do believe. I think zebras and horses. I do think Mixis is like the same Fiona machine. Someone pointed out that my character didn't spell out in 3, which I didn't mean to do. Blah blah blah. Green mimic.
Green mimic.
Wait, Moon holds the glitched up plush in Help Wanted. Help Wanted 2. It's literally Edwin holding the mimic program. Green mimic cannon. My darling Vanessa was robbed from us in Help Wanted 2. Well, yeah, they can't help it. Even like into the pit, they cut out Vanny too. So even in games that aren't supposed to have Vanessa, they find a way to make Vanny cut content. But yeah, so I can kind of see. My thought process was the whole like in the Secret of the Mimic thing, like Fiona wanting to help M1. Oh, I want my child back. Ooh, please, Edwin, help. I could see where by destroying Glitchtrap, it's getting rid of the Afton like agony that was plaguing the Mimic, like that version of the Mimic. Anyway, M2, that's what it would be. And
Yep.
so, would that imply that Mystic Hippo is like? No, no. Okay.
Yeah, Mystic Hippo's a weird one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, okay, that's the other thing. You think Edwin is alive in by security breach?
I don't think he's alive by security breach. I think he dies a little like a year or two before it. But I think that it does play out similarly to like the Tales books, where like he does come back after so many years. He sees what's going on, and then he eventually gets killed by the mimic programming. But now he's kind of like I think he might have been adopted into some form of AI form, which we're seeing that with a lot of characters, like Vanessa being adopted into an AI form, which is Vanny, William with
Yeah.
Glitchtrap, Michael with Grim Foxy, stuff like that. I think
Gregory being
that
like Dr. Rabbit or whatever.
yeah, so like they're all being adopted and they're all mainstay players. So if and plus with how much Edwin has been implied to be Moon in
Yeah,
so
yeah.
many things, I feel like if I were to take that ending and think, well, why would Moon be important here? I think it would be because that one of the things that Edwin says at one point was that he always intended to fix M2, and that's him fixing M2.
By the way, hello the Sebzutu, hello Chamba, meatloafers. I mean, like, what if Moon literally is Moon? What do you mean by that?
So basically, just Edwin would be Moon,
Oh
and
yeah,
basically so many years, yeah, and so many years ago when M2 confronted him, he said, "I always intended to fix you." Well,
yeah.
if we see what's happening here, he's taking the glitch trap program, which could be infecting the M2 and making him even more murderous than he normally would be. Then that would essentially be him finally starting to fix the mimic. If we were to look at it like through that lens,
Oh, what if Moon is literally Edwin? Oh yeah, I could.
yeah,
Isn't so in Secret of the Mimic? If you go down, it's below like the showroom or whatever, I believe.
yeah,
There was of course Sleepy Moon, which is like a very early version of what would eventually become the Moon that we know in
yep.
Security Breach. Do you think? Okay, so no, that's the other thing. If who do you think the silhouette is? The when they updated Secret of the Mimic and they added that silhouette that you could see if you're in like the not the starter room but like the hub room that you always go back to after like segments of the game. That silhouette that feels like it's a callback to the Jackie's Box song.
Yeah, so that room is interesting because that's the mail room. That's where all the mail goes.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, I feel like that would have to be Edwin or someone like William who is interested in reobtaining all of that stuff.
So I thought of two things, and the reason I bring it up is because if we're saying that Edwin is alive, I don't think the silhouette can be Edwin, because if the point of the game was that like Fiona says, and we're given it's the impression that Fiona, as Dispatch, of course, has been watching us throughout the entire game. She has cameras that she can see
Well, she
throughout
doesn't
the
have
entire
cameras
facility.
actually.
Yeah. What?
She has motion sensors. Because when
Oh,
the
you
whole
know
thing
what?
with Big Top happens, Dispatch goes, "What happened in there?" Every like motion sensor went off.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, no, you're right. So maybe she doesn't have cameras. Because I was going to say that, why would she say, okay, can you go talk to Edwin for me? He hasn't been answering my calls. Hasn't been answering my DMs. Um, I guess, but to be fair, if she, because my thought process was that, oh no, if he's in the factory already, why would she send Anna to go there? But if she doesn't have cameras and she only has the motion sensors, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, because even if you go through Security Breach and Ruin, you can see like where the cameras actually are. But in Secret of the Mimic, you can look everywhere. There's not one camera in that whole entire factory.
That's true. Okay. The one thing I did, it's a very mild hang up, but you said in the video that you think the parts and service area that we fixed Freddy in, you said that was the same area that Nurse Dolly was in like Secret of the Mimic, that medical area.
I do want to say, after I thought about it more, because I found that and put it in the video immediately because of how cool it was. The more that I look at it and I look at the Pizzaplex as a whole, we have like that whole main area where the elevator goes down, just like how it does in Secret of the Mimic with like that little sun thing. And then we also have that one area that looks like Dolly's hospital, and we even have and also that Endo warehouse area is actually called a nursery, in the game files, which is
Yeah,
really interesting.
that's what I thought of. Like when I thought of like a medical area for Dolly, I thought of the Endo
Mhm.
warehouse.
And another thing is that when we go down there, it's actually called Basement 2. You can see it written on the wall while you're going there. It's like B2 something core.
Yeah.
Um, I think the Pizzaplex is essentially if you took the whole entirety of Secret of the Mimic, blew it up a bunch, and recreated it.
Recreate it in what sense?
Like you took it, you had a bunch of stuff planned for it, but you took this one part of it and recreated. You took the falling like elevator door. You took Dolly's hospital, made it look like that. You took the nursery, you took all these things and made it look like MCM but modern day. It feels like a
Okay.
certain section of this whole area in Security Breach is just a flat out recreation of these, and they even use some old animatronics from MCM, like not Dolly exactly, but a new Dolly essentially. for this area.
Right.
And one thing that I wanted to bring up so bad in the video, and I just couldn't because I wasn't confident in it, is if it was just literally like, oh, these locations are where MCM was originally, I believe the daycare would have been with the parade float area because there is a parade bot that Gregory brings up, and the only place that has a reference to a possible parade area is the daycare with that whiteboard that is laid out exactly like the commission sheets on the whiteboard in the parade room.
Okay. I'm stewing. I know they said before the game came out that I believe the MCM is about the size of Roxy Raceway.
Yeah.
That leads me that's another question, and I've been thinking about this for a while. It does have a it does have a name already. The Fazburger. The idea that like for example, the Pizzaplex was built over the MCM, and by extension, especially if you think that Afton scooped up the land of the MCM, that the MCM might also be sister location. And then in saying that, because we see it down there, FNAF 6 is also probably either like above or somewhere around that ground of sister location, the MCM, and of course underneath the Pizzaplex. So do you think that like the Pizzaplex was literally built on top of the MCM?
So I am friends with Cryonide who made that theory, and I've looked into it myself, and there's some things that I do disagree with his theory on.
I don't think it was on
but
on top of each other. I think it was more like just the same property. It doesn't have to be on top of each other.
I think at the very least what was built on top of each other was MCM, Fredbear's, FFPS, MCM. That I can completely be confident in.
Fredbear's.
The reason why I say Fredbear's is because in Ruin you have items from Fredbear's Family Diner that don't even show up in Secret of the Mimic. Like the Fredbear cardboard cutout, for example.
Okay.
So you have stuff that's even deeper than FFPS down there that also do not appear in Secret of the Mimic. So there would have to be something between those two layers, and that would probably be Fredbear's Family Diner.
So, like, when I said they probably aren't going to make a Fredbear's Diner game, I might have been dead wrong. I think they definitely reused a lot of different elements from MCM when building the Pizzaplex. Yeah, I think... Okay, that was the question, though. So, like, why would they do that? Do we think it's, like, a paranormal thing? Or do we, like... Is there a particular... So, I thought about this before. In Secret of the Mimic, you have it's the data diver, and throughout the game, your main goal is that you get different levels of security as you progress through the game, and that helps you unlock more areas, and eventually you get, like, the top brass access that Edwin himself would have had or whatever. And then in Security Breach, you get... It's very much kind of a similar concept where throughout the game, you get higher levels of security by interacting with like these badge things, and that opens up more areas for you. And then just jumping over to Security Breach Ruin, you have the Faz Wrench, which I don't know about everybody else, but if you hold the Data Diver and the Faz Wrench up, like, next to each other, a little bit of deja vu. And it very much works a similar way in that you interact with the panel, you slide the prongs in, you turn it, and then you use it to open up more doors or whatever for maintenance. I have a little theory, I don't know if it's anything like mind-blowing or whatever, that the Pizzaplex either runs off the same security system or whatever that the MCM did, because again, it's the Faz Wrench, the Data Diver, everything, it's very reminiscent of each other. And in saying that, I wonder, because that's the thing in Security Breach, that in somehow, presumably the Mimic program, it helps Vanessa get the job of a security guard, even though they even say that, this lady's not qualified at all, why is she hired? But, it came from the top of the food chain that, no, you've passed your interview, 10 out of 10 performance. And I think it is a question of, okay, how would the Mimic get into the system? well, if it had the security not the protocols, but the security clearance to get into the system, the same system from like 50 or so years ago, well, there you go.
You know, my whole interpretation of it was I think the whole Pizzaplex was a thing that was planned ever since William took over MCM. The only reason they didn't do it, and this is just pure speculation, is because it would have been too obvious that they were just stealing Edwin's inventions because he was on the top of the world. MCM was on the top of the world.
Yeah.
And then it just crashed. So people would be talking about his invention still. And then after that happens, all of a sudden, Fazbear Entertainment's using everything under the sun. That's a little weird. But the other thing that makes me want to believe that a little more is that on the back of the Faz wrench, you have 395248. It's like they're trying to say, oh, now these are Williams' inventions.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they were waiting for his history to die down.
Maybe Mixes is a Fazbear Entertainment copy of Fiona. I don't think it's a copy. I think why would it change? I mean, I think it's kind of like on my new point. It's like, so like in Ruin, you have Glamrock Freddy. Like you see him in the Fazablast area. It's like headless, has like his chest open, but he has prototype on the bottom of his foot. And so like, oh, is that the same Glamrock Freddy? Yeah, probably. It's kind of just it's a random detail that they decided to add to the model for some reason. And so, like, saying, like, oh, why does it say Mixus instead of Fiona? I
think
that's a good question.
Genuinely something they did over time.
Yeah, I mean, it just could be. Okay, that's the thing. So, do you think who do you think put Mixus down there in, like, where the Mimic is?
I think it would have to be something in vein to Tales where there's the whole thing of like the whole like crew like shipping things over in huge containers and boxes. I think eventually the F10N4 machine would have been one of them. And like in the books, they're like, why are we even doing this? Like these are like weird old items. Like what's the point of this? And I think one of those items, those big items, was the F10N4 machine.
So do you think that, like, technically speaking, the Mixus machine was active during the events of Security Breach? Because when I look at security, especially, I guess it depends on how you take the Burn Trap ending, to be fair. But let's just, for the sake of conversation, Burn Trap Mimic is in Burn Trap. Burn Trap is a real thing or whatever, and we see him shambling around in that the old ruins of FNAF 6. I guess, I don't know, because it also, it depends on who you think was in the sticky note room, because I think it was, oh, my big brain, oh, there's so much FNAF, so much FNAF.
I mean, I know one thing for sure, the F10N4 machine / Mex's machine was not active in Security Breach, and the reason for that is because Gregory and Vanessa said that they had to go down there themselves and trap him.
Yeah, I remember now, because you find Gregory's backpack down there. And then
so they had to do that themselves. So it may have been there, but it wasn't activated.
And it is a very, if I recall correctly, it is an old computer in... Yeah, okay. I really don't think Fiona and Mixus are the same, but that's just me. Fazbear would have had the blueprints that M1 created for the Cradle, could have built another.
No, they wouldn't have. Mimic takes that whole entire data diver with them.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, oh, I think the Mimic or whatever has, like, the security clearance come, like, Security Breach, because he took the data diver with him. I don't know, like, why do you think he would have taken the data diver?
I think it definitely has something to do just with what he knows what's on it.
Yeah. Because of
like,
Mix.
And we know that he doesn't want to be fixed or stopped, because in Ruin, you can see in his model that he ripped out that port in his chest that would fix him.
True. Starblade.
So I think it was to stop anyone from stopping him.
Okay. That's right, Vanessa. This is a fun thought. I don't know. I guess, do you think the Vanny costume, I don't know if there's anything to really, like, say on the matter, because it's weird. When you see the Vanny mask in Help Wanted, and then even in Ruin, and in Help Wanted 2, the mask is not the same mask that Vanessa actually wears when she's in her Vanny persona. Like, that's an actual fur costume, and it has, like, I know, like, the mask that we wear in Help Wanted 2, it has, like, a brown spot on it and whatever. There's some minor differences. If but what Stallblade MC said, that's why Vanessa doesn't always have the Vanny suit on because of Mexis, which I guess that would, under that logic, it would imply that the Vanny like costume that she wears, particularly the mask, of course, still functions the same way that the mask that we wear like in Help Wanted 2 and Ruin does.
I would say she has two different costumes. She has her one very homemade one, where it's just very basic, like when she first made. Then she has her security breach one, but the reason why Mexis wouldn't have an effect on that is because it isn't Mexis who stops you from using the mask. It's those like weird pylons that they put around the place, and those are nowhere in security breach. So, but at the end of the day, I think what it is more so of a reference to how William would have been with the MCI, where he would have been really friendly outside of the suit, but then in the suit, he would have been trying to lure people.
Meatloafers says, I think but by the way, when you said McDonald's, I got instantly hungry. I have to like steal your McDonald's.
You're
now.
welcome. I
I
already ate it all.
Banned. I think Fazbear captured the mimic and obtained the data diver pretty soon after the events of Sodom. Why
It's hard to provide any evidence for that.
Like, okay, so yeah, because if Fazbear captured the mimic, and that was always a question. So it's like when they say that they've scanned the circuit boards into the game for Help Wanted, like what circuit boards? Because like
the only animatronics that would have been left around for that would have been the FNAF 1 animatronic endos and the FNAF 2 toy endos. Those were all scrapped for parts or taken apart and just laying around.
Oh, so you're saying that like the FNAF 1 endos were what they used to scan into the games?
It would make sense
but, like,
as to why Glitchtrap looks so different from Spring Bonnie, because the MCI more than likely do not remember or even know what the actual suit looked like. They just knew that it was a man in a yellow rabbit suit that had purple on it.
Are you saying that they like that's the MCI, like Glitchtrap is how the MCI, like, or is that like the game developers made Glitchtrap like that?
I think it's a mixture of both.
Okay, because I wondered, I don't know, because Tape Girl, when she sees Glitchtrap, she's like, what the hell is this? Like, this wasn't intended to be in the game. Right, because she's like, what is that guy? Yeah. He's an anomaly in the game that shouldn't be there. Yeah. I think personally, I think like the appearance of like why he looks different compared to the normal Spring Bonnie that we're used to or whatever, or like Springtrap, whatever. I think it's because just that like the costumes that the mimic typically wears, that we've seen him wear in the game so far, it's those type of like, I guess like the best way I could put it, like the Disney-ified fabric costumes, the more in line with typical mascot costumes that you'd actually see like at Disney or something, or like even like, you know, the old showbiz Chuck E. Cheese animatronics. Like it's more reminiscent of that compared to the typical Five Nights at Freddy's mascot characters. And so I think that's like the mimic kind of adapting, although it is mimicking William Afton, it's doing so in a way that's standard for itself. On why Glitchtrap looks like the way he does specifically. Wait, chat. What video is this? I just got finished watching Now Raven's theory on when security breach takes place. Really good video. If you guys want an uninterrupted version of it, you should go watch the video yourselves. Top tier content. Also,
Thank you.
There's going to be a charity event on the 19th to the 21st, hosted on No Raven's channel. It's for Feeding America. It's gonna be so baller. There's gonna be a ton of other FNAF content creators there. I think Glitchtrap has an IRL suit. MCM made a Spring Bonnie suit based off their other MCM suits. I don't think Glitchtrap was ever like a actual physical suit. Because even when we see, I mean, in Secret of the Mimic, you see Spring Bonnie and it's an actual animatronic. 14 Theory is real. Banned.
Oh, you know one thing that I want people to talk about more? You know one thing I want more people to talk about more? And it makes me upset that people don't.
14 Theory?
Yes, however, actually, it's so in Secret of the Mimic, we get a hint to Springlock suits that are waterproof. And then in the FNAF 2 movie, there are Springlock suits that are waterproof. We're getting this story that there are waterproof Springlocks.
Waterproof? When was the when in the movie was there like a waterproof spring lock?
The toys.
Are they
And
waterproof?
Balloon Boy's in the water.
Oh, I mean, okay. To be fair, I was about to say, oh, we're gonna say Balloon Boy is a Springlock suit, but to be fair, in the first movie, they turned the Ella doll into a Springlock suit, so it's not impossible. Which is weird. Like, like who the hell is wearing like in both instances? Like, if you say that Balloon Boy is a Springlock suit, and then the Ella one, what person is getting in? Are you having actual children wear these suits?
So
But
actually, they would do that because they do hire teenagers in MCM to wear the suits.
Well, yeah, but teenagers is different from like a 5-year-old, and like a 5-year-old.
You can have like a 4'5" like teenager.
Okay. Speaking. Okay. In terms of the movie, do you think Endo 02 was a Springlock like endoskeleton?
Yeah. So one thing that piqued my interest was that Scott said that, oh well, there's a mystery about the Endo 2 that nobody has solved, and that
Yeah.
instantly made me go, all right, I'm going to stare at this endoskeleton for hours until I figure this thing out. And I stared at it, and I stared, and I haven't even seen the movie at this point. I stared at it, and I was like, there's 3 prongs in these Springlocks.
The rib cage. It's the rib cage.
And
like,
there's
oh, wait a
3
minute.
ribs in their rib cage, but it
Yeah.
looks like they're being cut off. I think what it is that these were Springlocks at one point, but instead of completely remaking a new Endo model, they just removed the Springlock mechanisms and left the required animatronic mechanisms and slapped them in the toys.
That makes sense. I've always so like it depends because I've thought about it before. How does a Springlock costume work? So we're told, of course, that generally speaking, barring Secret of the Mimic, of course, you use a hand crank to wind the Springlocks back, and it pulls the animatronic bits like out of place or whatever, or into the sides of the suit so you can step inside of it and wear it. However, when we see when you look at Afton in the movie, when he gets springlocked, and then even if you like the Dead by Daylight model, if you want to, however, at face value you want to take that or something, generally speaking, especially like in recent time when they've depicted like what a springlock kind of thing looks like, it's sort of like a cage in a way. I think there was even like a BTS picture of like an endoskeleton from the first movie that people like, oh, that looks like a springlock type of thing. Anyway, I wonder if when Afton gets springlocked, and maybe because going off like what you said about like, oh, what if like the endoskeletons for the toys have sort of been altered from springlock endoskeletons to be more standard or whatever. Like if, again, just for example, when Afton got springlocked, the actual endoskeleton, whatever it might have looked like, was already removed from the suit. And so like when you're actually getting springlocked, in his case anyway, it's you're only getting the actual springlock mechanism, not the actual endoskeleton parts. Because logically, if the parts were in there, the dude would have a whole endoskeleton head lodged inside his own head, alongside a bunch of other painful metal mechanisms. It's the cage that's meant to hold the endo. I don't think the endo slide back into place during a springlock failure. That is exactly what I think. It was. So I was looking at chat thoughts.
I mean, with that, I think it's completely different from how we see it go from MCM to the games, because I feel like the movies are trying to help us drive home more stuff about what we're being told in the modern era.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you look at like the MCM suits to the Fazbear Entertainment suits, they are completely different, even in terms of how they work. Because like with MCM, you have to press a button, and they just open up. But with Fazbear Entertainment, you don't see any buttons on Spring Bonnie or Fredbear or any of them. So I think internally how they work is completely different.
Okay.
So I don't know how much it transfers over exactly from the movie to the games in terms of that.
it's so weird because on one hand, like, of course, the movies are adapting the games, of course, even if they're only loosely, if only if even in concept. Five children went missing, William Afton, whatever. Um, and like on one hand, like you brought it up a lot in your theory here, like, oh, Vanessa from the movies has a lot of similarities to Vanessa in the games, of course, particularly, oh, Bill, William Afton manipulating her, all this trauma, yada yada yada. And I've talked about it before in some of my videos that I think the character of Mike Schmidt, even if he's not an Afton in the movies, still shows a lot of like narrative similarities with Michael from the games, of course, particularly with the whole like trying to figure out what happened to his brother and guilt and regret over this, yada yada. There are of course like narrative similarities there, but also at the same time it's like I mean, of course, it could very well, the toys might be Springlock costumes, sure, but it's so like, oh no, the better example is like, oh, the toy animatronics being actual animatronics prior to 1987, because in the movie, oh, 1982, apparently that location came before, the classic Freddy's, the classic FNAF 1 animatronics, and I don't think that is true in the games. I can, of course, like, oh yeah, were they figures, like in the FNAF 4 minigames, or like toy figurines that later became animatronics? Yeah, sure. I mean, Phone Guy even says that, oh, they've spent a small fortune on these animatronics. Like, yeah, I could see them being based off those toys, but I do think they are, like, they only existed at first in 1987. I don't think the toys existed, like, before then, in the games anyway. So, like, it's kind of like a pick and choose thing of like, I guess, using like media literacy to the best of your capability of like, okay, what do we want to take to use to enforce in the games from the movies? So like you using like Vanessa as a character, I think that works very well here, but there's other instances where it's like, oh, that's a little iffy, kiddos.
So I can't say too much on this because I will actually get in trouble if I say too much here.
Getting the inside scoop, guys.
But what I will say is that John Fnaf's video, you should really pay attention to it. I don't agree with it, but there is one thing he brings up in it that I full-heartedly agree with, and I cannot say why, or I will get in trouble. So,
okay,
and I will say what it is. So McDonald's did something really interesting that we found out about unironically. They said that they've been serving Smiles at their franchise location since like the 1950s, but they opened in the 40s.
Okay.
And we know that in the movies, the franchise location is in 1982. But we have the 1983 Fazbear Entertainment token. I think the franchise location started in 83, but Fazbear Entertainment existed beforehand. And Freddy's existed beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that for a fact because, like, Fazbear Entertainment, it's referred to as such in Secret of the Mimic, and that takes place in 1980.
Oh, but I also think Freddy's existed beforehand.
Oh, you mean Freddy's? As in, like,
yeah, I think
restaurant.
There was a Freddy's. That's why there was a whole entire, underground Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location being made in MCM. I think one was genuinely made, or at least was supposed to be made.
Okay.
And then that didn't work out, and then they made Fredbear's Family Diner.
So, like, as a slight rebuttal, for the sake of being a contrarian, because we know that Fredbear's singing show existed, and, very clearly that feels like it's way before, like, the 80s or something, and that feels like it's, even before Fredbear's. So, like, as a, again, just to be contrarian, do you think it's, like, plausible, or could it be plausible that the location that you're referring to now could have just been, like, whatever Fredbear's singing show is?
I think what ended up happening, and this is my theory, so isn't it, like, Freddy Bear that he's called in Fredbear's singing show? Or, like, our favorite bear, like, Freddy?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I love about that is that my interpretation of it is that they split Freddy, like Freddy Bear, into two different characters. You had Fredbear and you had Freddy Fazbear, which we see in the Fredbear and Friends show in FNAF 4. They're two separate characters, but they exist already. They already do exist at the same time. So I think that regardless, at one point they did get split up and there was plans for a Freddy Fazbear's location.
When you say split up, you mean just like the company decided to split the two characters, not that like that character went to like a different thing, right?
Yeah, like they were still under Fazbear Entertainment, but I think
Yeah.
Freddy Fazbear and Fredbear were at one point the exact same character,
Yeah.
but then they split into two different characters.
That makes sense. No, I can. You know what? Narrative symmetry. There's a guy named Michael Afton, and then when Scott Cawthon wrote the second movie, he decided we're gonna split these two. Charlie, one moment. Let me look at chat. Been a little bit. Please don't flood the chat. Sorry, what's happening? What the hell are you guys doing? I think
I don't know. They've been weird this whole time.
I don't think Fazbear originated as a restaurant business. I think the original made traveling carnival attractions. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's been a theory for a while. I know John Fnaf talked about that, like, back when I think Security Breach came out. That's been a theory for a while. I could see it. I mean, especially... I don't think we have enough, like, information about Fall Fest yet to really make a good, like, a guesstimation, let's say. But, like, of course, we've heard about it here and there since, I think, Curse of Dreadbear was when it first popped up, I believe. And then I believe it did pop... I think it popped up in Security Breach. Particularly Secret of the Mimic. Fall Fest is where Fiona died.
It also popped up in Help Wanted too, a specific year being 1970. I think Fredbear and Friends Singing Show started in 1970 as a competitor to MCM, specifically at the Fall Fest locations.
Okay, so I think that's what I was gonna say. Is like I think Fall Fest probably is like what people theorize to be like, oh, the origins of, Actually, no, I think that makes sense. Like, Fredbear's Singing Show could have happened at Fall Fest, and, like, that's where it originated, and it plays into that idea of, like, oh, it used to be, like, a carnival attraction of some kind, or circus, whatever. You already know I agree with you on that. We talked about blah, blah, blah. Star is desperate for your attention, Doc. I know they said, like, a theory before about, Party Time Chica, about, like, oh yeah, because Party Time Chica. Okay, that's a question. That's another question. Because on the topic of like other locations prior to Freddy's, do you think Chica's Party World was something that like another company that Afton scooped up at some point, or the Fazbear Entertainment anyway, or do you think it was like its own? Well, sorry, do you think it was always a Fazbear Entertainment brand property?
If it was a Fazbear Entertainment brand property, it would have been owned by somebody else in a corporate like conglomerate, because when they refer to the person who is receiving them, it's not oh, he's happy or anything like that. It's she's happy with her designs. Like the client is happy. So either it was something where it was a part of the huge Fazbear corporate conglomerate, or it was its own thing that was absorbed into Fazbear.
I lean towards Chica originally being her own thing that got absorbed. However, in saying that, when we go down to like the prototype FNAF 1 area, we see Chica already there. So the only thought I have, and I didn't bother to look into it yet, but like I wonder, again, I don't know the exact legalities of how this stuff kind of works. It's a very fun part of like FNAF theorizing where you actually have to learn business practices. But do you think it's possible, like, since the MCM was like the designer of that character, Party Time Chica, of course, that they would legally be allowed to use the character that they made, although they are like they were contracted by somebody else to make that character, they could still use the concept of Chica for like another business or something else, i.e., the Fazbear Entertainment project that Edwin is working on for Fazbear Entertainment.
Honestly, when the whole topic of Chica's Party World gets brought up, one thing that always comes to my mind is Sister Location.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's when it was like first. So like if, so like Sister Location.
It is very important to me as to why that's so important and why it means so much to Sister Location to tease it in that game.
Is it the whole like renting out thing, or
just the fact that there's a like if you look at it at the time of when we were playing Sister Location and like FFPS wasn't out yet, we just saw it, all this stuff was coming out. Why was Chica's Party World ever mentioned?
I
And then just
watched
never brought up again.
I watched I forget which video it was, but T Dreads did a really interesting video on it, and it did
Schedule
actually
theory.
um Entrill is in the games. It was the I forget what video it was exactly, but he did a sister location video where he talked about like yeah, I think it had to do with like the whole was it the guts thing? Like oh the guts sound effect in Circus Baby. Anyway,
Yep.
that it was the whole like oh is CRM a criminal institute, a common institute, whatever. But I believe I don't remember the exact wording, but it's actually it had to do something with like Remnant and like the Scoop or whatever. But then of course there was Chica's Party World there, and the idea is that oh those when I think of okay, I don't know if I'm just maybe I'm putting my brain cells together, but when I think about it, if we all lose our brain cells, we link our single brain cells together. Sister location and how it operates, the idea of like renting out animatronics to all these other places. And, they even say like, oh, rented out the birthday parties, yada yada yada. I'm reaching a little bit here. I know I am, but it's not too dissimilar from how the MCM operated, in that you're like, you're being contracted in a way. Although the difference, of course, is that the MCM was, making costumes and stuff for clients, whereas sister location, circus babies and rentals, whatever, you're renting out these animatronics to go to these other places. I maybe maybe a bit of a reach, of course. It's not perfect logic, but I just thought interesting thought there. Schedule theory. Oh yeah, that's what that was. Child remnant installer. That's what he said. Thank you, Meatloafers.
Yeah. I do want to say something about like so you know like the Chica secret party thing.
Yeah.
So I this is the last thing I'm probably gonna say and then I gotta get off. But
oh my bad. I didn't mean to keep you.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. But one thing that I really want to bring up to people is that me and Shizu and one other person, I don't remember who they were. I talked to a lot of people the day that me and Shizu figured this one out. We were trying to think, well, if this mini game was going to be in 2016, when in 2016 was it going to be, right? And we sat for a while and we came to the conclusion it was actually going to be a secret mini game after Chica's Magic Rainbow in FNAF World Update 2. And the reason why is because there was other scrap things from Update 2, and specifically one of them is a FNAF 4 box being opened, which is something that is teased in Chica's Secret Party.
Oh, I remember. I've just had very vague, not vague, but like very fun memories of when everyone thought, "Oh my God, it's gonna be a teaser for like the next game or something." With like the whole, I remember I was watching your live stream, like, or when you were like stalking the website to see if there would be any changes. So you think that like it actually might have been a thing that was possibly planned way back, like after what was it, FNAF World?
Yeah, the only reason why I say it was most certainly something is because that's the only page of the whole entire book where it directly says that this is Scott's minigame guide. Like, he did this.
Huh.
Like, Scott was talking in our ear. This is Scott's minigame guide. I think Chica's Secret Party is the only part in that book that Scott actually looked at.
It's the only thing he purposefully like did quality control for. Like, oh wait, you gotta add this in.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go now, and I have another video I wanted to watch. Thank you so much for joining, though. This was awesome.
Oh, of course, and feel free to invite me whenever I'm usually free. So
I will probably take you up on that offer. Anyway, once again, thank you for joining. I can't wait to see you on the 19th for the charity event.
Oh yeah. Also, I did sign you up for Dead by Daylight, so you're on.
Good job. Good job. Good job.
Let's go. Alrighty.
See ya.
Bye, everyone. Subscribe to this goober, and if you don't, I will be under your bed, and I will be holding 2 number 14s made out of cardboard that I will hit you with repeatedly until you do. Bye-bye!
Okay, that was awesome. Fire. Guys, that was no Raven. Round of applause, buddy. Round of applause. Okay, let me look at chat. I know there was a question, so I don't know. Oh, I'm gonna butcher your name. Kedri, hello. I was waiting for this moment. I was asking why didn't you have Golden Freddy's his crying child, William's young son, in your videos? It's not that I don't. Well, okay. Technically speaking, I don't, but I have a video coming out. Was it tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow, if not the day after. I do have Golden Freddy coming in another video soon, so you don't have to wait too long. And yes, you will be able to ask him questions if you feel like it for like the Q&A stuff. But yeah, like, my theory, Toy Shack was the mastermind behind all. It was me. By the way, hello, Charlie Emily. Loved you in FNAF 2 movie. By the way, hello, Viabad. Sorry, I saw you pop in chat, but I was, talking to Raven. Thank you to everyone who's been joining stream. I hope you've had a good time so far watching FNAF theories and hearing me ramble with Raven. That was really fun. We do have other, we do have some more stuff we're gonna watch, actually. We are not done yet. However, we're going to take a small break. You will never catch me making a video about the identity of Golden Freddy. That is my promise. Funny enough, I have I'm talking about, like, a meme video, not a theory. It's one of my, like, voiceover, like, voice impression videos. I'm not gonna, I don't want to give, like, spoilers, but the main aspect of the video is, like, what the hell is this guy's name? Hello, sorry if I butcher your name. Gyrax and the crew. Hello. Okay. Before we continue on to the next video, and the next video is going to be a funny one, I think. I don't want to say funny, that's a bit mean. But, like, a very controversial one. But before we do that, where is it? Where did he put it? Sorry, where did they put it? Actually, was it on? I swear, it's not gone, right? I'm not dumb. Wait, maybe it's over here. Here it is! Doc, what's the meaning of life?
I knew.
6-7.
I was struck with inspiration like I was with the Halloween one. So, this is how I stole Scott Cawthon's jacket.
Here we go.
I took a trip down to Texas where I never thought I'd go. But I was on a mission this Christmas to knock on old Scott Cawthon's door. He opened the door with a kind smile, a merry twinkle in his eye. And before I could open my mouth, he said something that almost made me cry. He said, Andrew is in the games, and Mike Trapp's fucking true. I'm bringing back the Fnaf AR, and Gregbot is canon too. I never.
We can't see the video. Oh my, wait, thank you. I'm so fucking dumb. I always forget that. Thank you. I'm so glad I have. I'm so dumb.
Cared about the games, they're fiction through and through. By the way, Kelsey's the Golden Freddy spirit, and I don't care about any you. Now I was flabbergasted to hear Scott Cawthon say such things.
This is so peak.
Oh my God, David, that stings.
Oh my.
So I knew I had.
Oh my God, David. It's so fire.
But one course of action. As December snow began to fall, I rolled up my sleeves and began to get ready for an all-Freddy fast brawl. Scott looked me in the eyes. His smug joy had turned to fear. He could tell this Phasmus day wouldn't be anything like last year. My fists, they flew like Donner and Blitzen, and Scott was knocked out cold.
I already said it before, but shout out to, oh, I have my phone in the way, one moment. Shout out to Moy Mortimer. You might have seen them in chat. They've been in and out of stream, I think. They've been here a lot most of the time, I think. Also, wait, I am not... Okay, I'm a fake fan. Wait a minute. There we go. I'm subscribed now. Baller. Okay. The other theory I want to watch, because it was very controversial when it came out, but I didn't actually watch it. I didn't describe to you too, damn. I'm a fake fan of everyone. Get Mori on stream and it'll be peak.
There isn't much known for
I did not just see William Afton in chat say Sigma fandom tax. Y'all ain't ready for my duck song cover? Oh, it's gonna be fire. Oh my god, David, I am dying of beauty. Oh, it's so fire. Anyway, sorry. Well, it's Fantasy. You might have heard of them. They're another FNAF tuber, and they did a theory a few weeks ago. The FNAF 4 location isn't Fredbear's, and I can prove it. Now, I feel like I know the concept of this theory. Oh, a moment. Someone texted me. Wait a minute. Someone pinged me, I think. I've been pinged. Oh, okay. That was just a dumb thing. Okay. Sorry, fellas. I keep getting off track. Doc, get Michael? No. Oh, shit. I'm gonna get cooked. You're all good. I'm just sorry. Wait, oh, by the way, hello, Jill Brady. Anyway, are you going to make a video about the Afton family? In what context? Doc, I'm Nightmare Freddy and I'm in your head. I'm Nightmare Freddy and I'm in your bed. But yeah, we're gonna watch this video. I think I kind of already know. I mean, the title says enough, right? But I think I know what this one's gonna be about. However, we're gonna watch it. And I know this one was controversial when it came out. That's why I wanted to watch it, because I wanted to see what all the fuss was really about.
For sure in Five Nights at Freddy's, but there are a few things that are either directly confirmed or have enough evidence that—
Even if some theories actually confuses me. Yeah, I mean, like, I try to respect everyone. I think even if there's a theory that it's oh, it's crackpot, or like, oh, it's like very, you know, like kind of out there necessarily. I'm really grateful for crackpot theories because I think they're really fun to like look at. And I said it before, I really like John Fnaf's content. Like, very good presentation, very entertaining, and he actually has, like, made a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh, wow, that actually, like, made me open my eyes, so to speak. Like, oh, yeah, like, I agree with this aspect, but it's usually the conclusions that were like, oh, you broke your ankle there. Did you make a new short? Yeah, I did. I have more coming out over the next few days. Doc, can you please get Michael? I don't know how much longer I can handle William. You're done for. I don't think I've ever felt as neutral watching a theory video as I did watching this.
They're treated as confirmed by most of the fanbase. While some of these topics may still be debated, one that is generally taken as fact is that the FNAF 4 minigames where the crying child gets bitten by Fredbear take place at Fredbear's family diner. After all, the animatronics present are Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. The game takes place in the early 80s, before most of the games except for the recent Secret of the Mimic, and Fredbear's was the predecessor to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. However, just because something is widely believed, that doesn't mean it's necessarily true. And the more I've looked into the topic, things just haven't added up the way they should. From the route between the crying child's home and the restaurant to the connection—
I have a Chekhov's gun for this that I'm gonna save until the end, but it's very difficult to. However, I'm gonna save it.
Secret of the Mimic has to Fredbear's in the events of—
Oh, by the way, hello Fridge. Hello. Sorry, I saw you before, but I didn't. I am just clipping now. Hello, Aaron Strawberry. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Hello, Jplay. Hello, Kyle.
FNAF 4, to the animatronic the crying
My
child
son,
is implied to present—
Please. Wait, no. Okay, that's actually fun. They would do. Please, Doc. My son is kinda homeless.
As to the very year the game takes place, I've become increasingly convinced that the crying child wasn't bitten at Fredbear's family diner. Instead, I think the bite of 83 happened at one of the first Freddy Fazbear's pizzas, and I have the evidence to prove it. To set the stage, since most of the games I'm going to be pulling information from are multiple years old at this point, I think it's a good idea to give a refresher on the relevant games and the information we have from them before I get into the meat of why I'm attempting to overturn one of the most widely agreed upon pieces of lore in franchise history. Technically speaking, we see Fredbear for the first time in FNAF 1, though at this point in the timeline, the character is known as Golden Freddy due to having been modified and having—
Technically Yellow Bear. The Golden Freddy was, I believe, a nickname. I think, what was it, Markiplier came up with it? I don't remember where it exactly came from, but, yeah, no, in the game files it's referred to as Yellow Bear.
his accessories altered a bit.
Doc, do Elizabeth's voice, please. I mean, my Elizabeth voice is just like a cowboy. I mean, because I can't do a female voice, so I went the like total opposite direction for the meme. That's awesome, deity. It's like gave it like a Texan accent for some reason, just like added like a deep filter.
In the time since the character was in his original Fredbear form. However, the first mention of the name Fredbear itself, or Fredbear's Family Diner, came in Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Please, the doctor is in TM. My son is kinda homeless. He lost his frontal lobe.
Where after the incident that is heavily implied to be William Afton going for round 2 of murders at Freddy's during the day shift, the phone guy mentions that they're trying to get in contact with the owner of the original restaurant, which he thinks is called Fredbear's Family Diner, though the restaurant has been closed for years and he doesn't think they'll be able to track anyone down. While FNAF 3 doesn't mention Fredbear's directly, an old recording of Phone Guy does mention Fredbear himself as one of 2 Springlock animatronic suits that, along with Spring Bonnie, was used at the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza he worked at up until multiple simultaneous Springlock failures at a sister location led to them no longer being used. The Springlock suits doubled as animatronics and costumes, with Springlocks being wound to hold the animatronic parts to the sides of the suits for a human performer to fit inside. However, the Springlocks weren't the most stable, and if they failed, the metal parts would return to their original positions, regardless of whether or not there was still a person in there.
Doc, will Trolley Emily be in any of your future videos? I'll think about it.
Which we see happen to William Afton in the end of night minigames after he gets into the Spring Bonnie suit. Then we get to FNAF 4, which comes in 2 parts. One part has us play as a crying child in the year 1983, who hears his Fredbear plushie talking to him and is bullied by his older brother for being scared of animatronics, despite liking plushies of Fredbear and the Freddy's characters. The crying child lives within walking distance of a restaurant where Fredbear and Spring Bonnie Springlock suits were in use, and a picture of Fredbear is on the wall of the restaurant, though there.
Shout out to, again, if I'm butchering all of everyone's names today, Illumix? It's not Illumix. Wait. Yeah, it's... I don't know, how do you pronounce that? I'm so mid, dude. I'm so dumb. The person that, Id's Fantasy credited here, because they get a lot of, like, they tend to do, like, a lot of great, very useful stock footage stuff. I've used them before, so shout out to them.
There's a TV show and plenty of toys and other merch that depict the main Freddy's game as well. This part of the story comes to a head on the crying child's birthday, when the older brother and his friends, all wearing masks of the Freddy's characters, put the crying child in the mouth of the Fredbear animatronic, which happens to bite down, leading to what's known as the Bite of 83, and the crying child later flatlining in the hospital. The other part is a bit more complicated, but based on the FNAF 1 phone call audio and the ambiance, the random hospital equipment, medication and flowers that can appear, the map and sister location, the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, and the Phone Guy interactive novel, the main nights of FNAF 4 are the crying child haunting his older brother, Michael Afton, who is a security guard at Freddy's.
I don't think it's the crying child haunting Mike. I think it's Shadow Freddy because of the whole nightmare being referred to as Shadow Freddy in the game files. So yeah, no, I don't think it's the crying child in Mike's dream. I think it's just Shadow Freddy / Nightmare doing like the whole shindig
in FNAF 1 by sharing his memories with him. Part of that is presumably in the form of the 8-bit minigames, but during the main nights, Michael is forced to take the role of his little brother facing down nightmarish versions of the Freddy's animatronics. It turns out, William Afton was always an awful parent, because in the underground facility that would eventually become the setting of Sister Location,
there's theories that Shadow Freddy was created from Bite of 83. I mean, yeah, I could see it. Doc, you should play that kind of new, kind of old Into the Pit game. It's pretty good. I've played it before on stream, but I wouldn't mind replaying it. Shadow Freddy is crying child's agony or something, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think, on one hand, I do like the idea of the shadows being from, like, the MCI and DCI respectively, but I can also see them being from, like, the crying child's death specifically, especially if it's, like, because of the whole, like, oh, the shadows that you see casting from the main stage, and they share the same, like, purple hue hex code that Shadow Bonnie has in FNAF 3's secret minigames. So, like, I could see that. Makes sense to me. Generally speaking, though, Shadow Freddy is Nightmare in FNAF 4.
He set up these rooms to experiment with fear in children by making them face nightmarish situations by pumping the rooms full of nightmare hallucination gas. While the Tales from the Pizzaplex books have a random kid named Rory be the one who experiences the experiments, the fact that the Tales books...
On a side note, though, I haven't thought about it much, but I did consider the idea. Possibly because I'm a very big Silent Hill fan. Shadow Freddy is low-key. Shadow Freddy / Nightmare is low-key just Michael Afton's, like, version of Pyramid Head. I haven't thought. I'd have to think about it more. But like, I think it's one of his lines from, I believe, was it The Shadows? I have to look it up real quick. I'd have to look it up real quick. One moment. FNAF Nightmare Lines. Nightmare. Script. Dialogue. The shadow. Okay, it is. The shadow fears me. Fire. The shadow fears me. Holy guacamole. But like, I think the shadow is referring to Michael Afton, and the idea that Michael is specifically afraid of him, and he's like, "Oh, I am your wickedness made flesh" or whatever. I wonder if it's like, I'd have to think about it more. I'd have to think about it, very loose theory. But I wonder, could Shadow Freddy actually be derived from Michael's own agony? Okay, anyway. Please notice me. Please notice me. Okay, wait, let me look at chat. People still believe in the DCI? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I take it or leave it, personally. Wait a minute. English or Spanish? Okay, you're banned. Did you know that the distorted phone call in FNAF 4 is the first phone? Yeah, I've talked about that before in some of my theories. It plays into the whole idea that Michael is the player character of FNAF 4. Doc, my head can't take that much FNAF lore. My brain doesn't have enough neurons. Maybe I'm just weird, but I don't really think much about theories that don't involve the Mimic at this point. Like, I am not debating the identity of Toyshink in the... Toyshnik? That's how I like to say it in the Big 25. How I think about it, how I approach theory crafting a lot is that... it doesn't necessarily have to be a debate. Like, when I had Narrow Raven here earlier, I mean, to be fair, I like the concept of a FNAF debate. I have debated with people before. That's not an issue, of course. But, like, I like having just a discussion in general, and I like talking about these. I think there is, of course, like, an appeal to talking about what's currently, like, relevant in terms of theory crafting, of course, which is funny because, in an odd way, FNAF does have, like, a economy when it comes to... it has an economy when it comes to theory crafting, where it's like, oh, theories change every few months. Like, I was so surprised when people started considering Bite Victim as being a possible, brain function, a possible candidate for the one you should not have killed. Because, like, for so long, kind of everyone was in agreement that the Bite Victim was not the vengeful spirit. But, like, in recent, I think, like, the last few months, that's actually become a theory that some people have subscribed to. Like, you should subscribe to the Doctor Is In YouTube channel. Anyway, point being, it's like, the economy and the space for theory crafting, like, oddly changes pretty often. So, fascinating.
Aren't in the game continuity, how a similar instance of a random character taking the place of the player character in FNAF 3 happens in the...
Oh yeah, thank you, because Maury saying I love talking about older stuff. The reason I brought all of that up is because, like, it's funny how new stuff can recontextualize the old stuff. Funny, in quotations, but it's like, it plays into the idea that it keeps stuff like the economy of FNAF fresh and whatnot.
Fazbear Frights books, and other things I go over in a previous video more specifically dedicated to Midnight Motorist, it seems like the victim of the nightmare experiments in the game timeline was the crying child, which likely factored into his fear of the animatronics that we see in the 8-bit minigames. This is backed up by Sister Location, which not only has a map that shows the bunkers connected to each of the locations from FNAF 4, but in the private room there's a Fredbear plushie with what looks like a walkie-talkie, as well as cameras that show the FNAF 4 rooms when the code 1983 is put into the pin pad, showing how William ran and monitored the nightmare experiments from there. The next game is Pizzeria Simulator, and the main thing of note in the game itself are two of the minigames. One of them is the Security Puppet minigame, which takes place on a rainy night, and in conjunction with the similar minigame in FNAF 2, shows how William Afton's first victim, Charlie Emily, died and possessed the puppet animatronic after being locked outside of Freddy's. While there are theories that she wasn't his first victim, considering how she was mentioned as the first victim in both the novel trilogy and the FNAF 2 movie trailer, and how her father in the games claims that he was the first one wounded by William's actions that ended up with the other kids getting killed, I'm inclined to believe she is the first in the games as well. We also know it was probably Freddy's
I'm not gonna say anything on that because it's one of those things where I think I leave it or take it. I personally, Midnight Motorist, man. it really depends on like who the runaway is in Midnight Motorist and who the couch person is, and who of course like the dirt mound. But I think if you say that like Michael's the runaway, then yeah, the dirt mound is probably the crying child. And then if you say like, oh, Michael's the couch person, then yeah, the runaway is probably the crying child. So I don't think but to be fair, I don't think the Charlie's death is what would have made the crying child like, oh my god, I'm so afraid of the animatronics. I don't think that's what it is. I think you can have Charlie dying first and then just have the crying child be generally afraid of the animatronics, which I think that's what it really is at the end of the day. I don't think it's anything particular. I think he's just afraid of them because, you know, they're off-putting to him.
Specifically, since the character shown in the FNAF 2 version of the minigame has a black, not purple hat and bow tie and is labeled Freddy in the files, and a recently released activity kit talks about how at Freddy's there were wristbands were given to the kids as a souvenir.
Andrew lied. So, like, in the movies, it's Michael-verse, because everyone is Michael Afton, and in the games, it's just Andrew.
And a way to track them, with a black light drawing of Charlie from the security puppet minigame, where she's wearing a wristband to signal to the puppet to keep her in the building, implying that Freddy's...
I loved Ticket to Fun, by the way. I loved that. It was so awesome to me. I know, like, a lot of people were kind of disappointed with it, and to be fair, it would have been cool if it was a lot more like an actual ephemera kit, but for what it was, I thought it was really fun, and I think... I was kind of surprised, like, when people were like, oh, Charlie dying at Freddy's, that's not a big reveal, which, I mean, sure, whatever, but like, oh... Happiest Day, or, you know, Chica's Party being actual arcade. It confirmed arcade theory. That's what it did. It confirmed arcade theory. And I was kind of surprised that a lot more people weren't like, oh, wow, that's big news. Like, it was kind of just like, it happened.
Giving the kids wristbands is connected to why Charlie has a wristband. Charlie then got trapped outside, William drove up, killed her and drove away, and the puppet made it to her body but collapsed on it due to the rain. This minigame presumably connects to the lore portion of the Midnight Motorist minigame, which takes place on a rainy night and is labeled later that night in the files. We drive home in the rain as a character that is heavily implied to be William Afton, both via his purple car, how the upcoming 5 Laps at Freddy's game has a vehicle called
Please, 5 Laps at Freddy's, save me! Please save us all! Oh, after FNAF 2 movie, we're stuck in mid. We're stuck in the middest pits of despair. We need you, 5 Laps at Freddy's!
Called the Midnight Motor with a yellow rabbit antenna, and some other things that I go into more detail about in my Midnight Motorist video. On his way home, he can stop in a clearing that has a weird dirt pile looking thing, and at a building labeled Juniors. If he approaches Juniors, the green character outside tells him he knows he can't be there and to not make this more difficult than it needs to be. Once William reaches his home, going inside reveals a character wearing gray watching TV who tells William to leave some other him alone because he had a rough day, only for William to not do that, and head to his son's room and demand entry. When the door is locked and won't open, William goes outside to try and get in through the window, only to find it broken, with a trail of footprints leading away from it. A pair of
What do you think he planned on doing? Like, I'm gonna break your window? You're gonna break your own window, dude?
3 toed footprints is visible near a bush, and while William doesn't acknowledge them, he says, ran off to that place again. He will be sorry.
So, I gotta read this. By the way, hello, Nick Play Game. But, Kyle in chat says, I think Gregory from Security Breach is Golden Freddy or Fredbear after the horror attraction place burned down. I think William, before dying, used the kid's remnant to make a Gregory as a robot. I think... Wild. That has the same type beat as, like, Security Breach takes place in 1985.
When he gets back. After Pizzeria Simulator comes Help Wanted. There are a few neat lore confirmations here, such as the Faz tokens that confirm Freddy's has been around since 1983, as well as DLC where there's an alternate hub world with a large banner that says Fall Fest 83 and shows a house up on a hill that looks suspiciously similar to the house shown on the FNAF 4 menu screen. Help Wanted also shows a house up, as well as DLC where there's an alternate hub world with a large banner that says Fall Fest 83 and shows a house up on a hill that looks suspiciously similar to the house shown on.
But whether the bite of 83 took place at Fredbear, this changed basically nothing. Again, I have a Chekhov's gun that I'm gonna shoot after we're done this video, but I'm holding it. I'm holding it in my holster for now.
the Fnaf 4 menu screen. Help Wanted also teases the game's security breach by showing its location, the Pizzaplex, under construction. However, what the teaser doesn't show, but security breach itself does, is that the Pizzaplex was built on top of a sinkhole containing a few weird things, including but not limited to a giant Freddy head, the Fnaf 6 pizzeria, and an area deeper underground containing a giant old computer-labeled mixes, a hostile endoskeleton called the Mimic, and some old fabric costumes that aren't Freddy's related. Help Wanted 2 doesn't go into this too much more, though it does take place in the pizzeria simulator location, and has a somewhat notable ending involving playing a VR version of the arcade game that randomly has the sister location elevator in it, which is interesting. However, the next game, Secret of the Mimic, is where things get extra interesting. Set at the earliest point we
I want to donate to Doc, but I'm broke. Why, thank you, William. It's the thought that counts.
have in the Fnaf
Everyone being here is, support enough, honestly. Thank you, everyone who's been joining.
timeline. In the year 1979, Fredbear's Family Diner and Chica's Party World are the only Fazbear-related locations that we're aware of being open at the time, with
Fall Fest.
the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza chain being planned to open later. We play as Arnold, a Fazbear technician sent to get the Mimic from Murray's Costume Manor, a former contractor that Fazbear Entertainment acquired. MCM was owned by Edwin Murray, the Mimic's creator, and after the death of his wife and son, Edwin lashed out and the Mimic, specifically the M2 variant, imitated and absorbed his rage, leading to it killing anyone who entered the building. While exploring, there are a few interesting discoveries that can be made. For example, there are messages from characters in the game that you can collect that indicate William was actively poaching Edwin's employees to drive him out of business and acquire his property, including the land his home was built on. Though it wasn't just poaching the employees that damaged Edwin's financial stability. Edwin was banking his ability to recover on the success of the Fazbear project he was contracted to help with, which we see in the games as a prototype of the FNAF 1 location, which interestingly has a giant Freddy head outside of it and contains a machine that looks like Mix's, though this one is primarily active as the original Mimic program M1 and is labeled F10N4 since it copied Fiona, Edwin's wife. The prototype Freddy's and MCM are also connected to the Murray household through a series of tunnels, which is an interesting construction choice, and the house itself gets even more interesting in how it holds some of the costumes that show up in the Mimic's area of ruin, and has a bedroom that has toys from and overall looks suspiciously similar to the FNAF 4 bedroom that shows up on the sister location cameras, though with a different layout. And speaking of bedrooms, if you're interested in getting better sleep, you should check out the sponsor of this video, Manta Sleep. Manta Sleep has a variety of comfortable sleep masks with adjustable straps, and
No offense, but
either suggest things are possible that quite literally aren't, say things happened that didn't, or otherwise mess up details about the series. For example, the Ultimate Guide says that sister location takes place at Circus Baby's Pizza World instead of Entertainment and Rentals, and that Bone Dude in FNAF 3 says that FNAF 3 takes place 30 years after the last Freddy's closed, even though he never actually said that, and a page before the book said we don't know what event FNAF 3 is 30 years after. I bring this up because in the character encyclopedia, we get two seemingly contradictory pieces of information.
I don't like that book. I think that's I don't think that should be used for theory crafting because it's so this is not a theory, but I bleached my hair for school because we are going to state. Also, I think all Steelworld main characters are made by Edwin, like Roxy, Monty, and Sodom. I thought you were about to say Gregory and Vanessa, oh, Edwin made them. Not even letting her run out.
While the Crying Child's page says that the restaurant was Fredbear's Family Diner, the locations page says, in reference to the FNAF 4 bedroom, that it's where a child is haunted by terrible memories of a visit to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Considering I doubt that the FNAF 4 minigames could have taken place at both—
Well, yeah, the bedroom, because you play as Michael Afton in the night gameplay of FNAF 4 after FNAF 1, and, it's the, Freddy, Bonnet, Chica, Foxy.
Both Fredbear's and Freddy's, and how the guidebooks aren't the most reliable, I'm not going to use this information as evidence one way or the other.
Fair enough.
Another book-related thing I should mention is the interactive novel The Week Before, which is set the week before FNAF 1, when Phone Guy was working security at Freddy's. In the book, the bite of 83 is brought up if you, as Phone Guy, choose to call 1983 on the phone. And the book mentions that while he doesn't remember when the first Freddy's opened or when Fredbear's did, one year that stuck out was 1983, which was known as the year of the Big Bite up until a bite happened again in 1987. Calling the number leads to him hearing the events of the bite of 83 and then getting bitten himself after the sound of crying continued. Number leads to him hearing.
So, I didn't think she by the way, hello, Ahmed. I didn't think she was gonna bring this up, because I kind of thought it was just so straightforward. But, yeah, no, literally, okay, if we wait here, 4 digits could be a year, you think. This is from the week before. You can't remember what year the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opened, which was 1993. Sorry, 1983. Blech. Or its predecessor, Fredbear's Family Diner, but one year does stick out. It was known as the Big Bite until it happened again 4 years later, aka the Bite of 87. Kind of like how World War I was just the Great War until another one came along. Speaking of tragedies that could have been avoided, you punch in the numbers. Well, yeah, okay. I'm thinking. What was my thought? Oh yeah. So like it says like literally here, or its predecessor, Fredbear's Family Diner, but 1 year does stick out. It was known as the big 1983. I think looking at it, I think I know which route she's gonna try and take. But I feel like this spells it out like, no, it was Fredbear's Family Diner. Okay.
Freddy's opened or when Fredbear's did. 1 year that stuck out was 1983, which was known as the year of the Big Bite up until a bite happened again in 1987. Calling the number leads to him hearing the events of the bite of 83 and then getting bitten himself after the sound of crying continues after the call's end. Not only does this strengthen the idea that the crying child's spirit is present at Freddy's, likely in the Golden Freddy suit since it used to be Fredbear, but I find it notable that while Fredbear's Family Diner is
Merry Christmas. Thank you, William. Merry Christmas to you.
mentioned, it's not to say that the bite took place there, and Freddy's is mentioned in the same way in the same sentence. And this connects to the reason why I started considering this theory in the first place. After all, it's pretty widely accepted in the FNAF community that the crying child is one of the spirits in Golden Freddy that was present at the FNAF 1 location.
Personally, I mean, I could. That's another thing I take or leave. It's kind of like because I God victim. That's the theory I believe in when it comes to like the crying child. He can be in Golden Freddy, but also he can just be like his agony and memory can just be affecting kind of everything. Generally speaking, I think he influences a lot of stuff in general. So you know.
And that's something the week before backs up with this scene, and that I go into more depth about in a previous video I'll have linked in the description if you want to check it out. We do know from FNAF 3 that Fredbear and Spring Bonnie were used at Freddy's location, since Phone Guy himself records training tapes for using them, but one thing that's bothered me for a while was why the crying child would possess the Freddy's version of Fredbear in the first place if he was bitten by and presumably possessed
The same character. It's just like Fredbear's was rebranded after the bite.
Fredbear at Fredbear's Family Diner. At first I thought that maybe Fredbear just got moved to Freddy's after Fredbear's closed. But then there was the issue of Freddy's opening for the first time in 1983, the same year that FNAF 4 took place. If Freddy's was open simultaneously with Fredbear's, and Fredbear and Spring...
What do you think sister location takes place? I think it is after the first. No, it's not after FNAF 2. I think it's after FNAF 3. I think sister location takes place after FNAF 3.
Spring Bonnie were used at both. Why wouldn't they both have their own Fredbears, even if Fredbear's Family Diner eventually...
Please do the Afton voice. Please do the It was me, Michael! Hey, don't spam it. Don't spam. Don't spam.
...shut down. It's not impossible that Fredbear got moved after, of course, but it got...
Yeah, I think, you know, I think sister location takes place after FNAF 3 too.
Got me thinking, what if the crying child got bitten at Freddy's instead? Freddy's was open for the first time the year that FNAF 4 takes place after all, and if this was a Freddy's, that could potentially explain not only why he would possess the same Fredbear that went on to become Golden Freddy, but also why there's so much Freddy's merch around, including the bullies' masks. Not to mention, if the
I mean, again, you can kind of... It doesn't necessarily... I mean, I get what she's saying, of course, but also, like, literally, you need Fredbear is, like, all the suits you see here are Fredbear. And then, like, we know that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opened in 1983. Like, they could have a Freddy's down the street or whatever. I mean, like, exaggeration, but, you know, in the same town or something. So it's like, you know, that's why. Also, Michael is literally William Afton's son, you know, merch and whatnot.
Freddy's franchise just started, it makes a lot of sense that William would be spending more time at and hosting his kid's birthday party at a Freddy's instead of the diner that Freddy's is meant.
But also, Fredbear's is where they live closer to, so it kind of, you know.
To replace. We do have a teaser for FNAF 4 that shows Fredbear's hat and bow tie along with faded text that lines up best with Fredbear's Family Diner, which seems to imply that the Fredbear in FNAF 4 was the one at Fredbear's, but the source code for the teaser didn't say 1983. It said 1982, the year before Freddy's opened. So
yeah, that's a weird one. I wonder, like, if it was like a red herring or something. Because I feel like I saw that pop up a little while ago, and it's funny because they used 1982 in the movie as well. And to be fair, in the movie, Freddy Fazbear's, it was Freddy's, not Fredbear's. Well, okay, different thing though, because it is Fredbear's in the game, and so it's Fredbear right there.
What if it was property of Fredbear's in 1982, only to become property of Freddy's in 1983? While this isn't the strongest evidence on its own, with what we know and can otherwise theorize about the Afton house and its proximity to other locations in the games, it would actually line up painfully well. While the FNAF minigames are often simplified in terms of scale, as well as what areas and objects are and aren't shown for the sake of
Dude, like, Fredbear's cardboard cutout is literally right there.
the 8-bit style and locked camera, we do know from the FNAF 4 minigames that the restaurant is within walking distance of the crying child's home, and that the general route he takes is from the restaurant towards the road, turning to his right to continue along the sidewalk by the road, and then right again to go up to his house. And interestingly, this route is pretty much identical to the one we see in Midnight Motorist from Junior's to the Afton house.
No. Like, I looked at it and, like, when you turn the image that way, sure, I can see what you mean. But also, like... like, what happened to, like, there's no, like, where's the park, you know? The park that you can go to is not here. There's a bunch of trees now. There's not a sidewalk. It's just, like, the road or whatever. A road that gets, like, gradually smaller. And, like, it's just, like, it's not the same. It's not.
The direction of the doors is altered to accommodate the differing camera angle. And while William does
You do Michael's voice, too? Yeah, I do Michael's voice.
Father, it's me, Michael.
drive from Junior's to his home, it's not only a pretty short drive, but there are footprints leading away from the house in the direction of Junior's. The only other thing in that direction is the dirt pile, which is even farther away, so regardless of which one you think the kid is going to, Junior's is presumably within walking distance. Considering the minigame is labeled later that night and has reigned like the security puppet minigame, I personally think this makes a lot of sense to be later in the night after Charlie was killed, with Junior's being the Freddy's location she was killed at. And William arriving at Junior's is him driving back from wherever he was going in the first place when he stopped to kill Charlie. While some have suggested that Junior's is a bar and the green guy is a bouncer, the proximity to the Afton house and connections to the security puppet minigame gives me the impression that it's meant to be the same location as the FNAF 4 restaurant. And wouldn't you know it, but with Freddy's coming after Fredbear's, that would make Freddy's the junior location to Fredbear's Family Diner. The green guy could potentially be bouncer type character, since based on one of the promotional images for the original FNAF movie, Freddy's did serve beer, though presumably not to the children, I hope. Or he
Yummy.
could be telling William that he has to stay out because there's an active police investigation going on into what happened to Charlie. And it should be pretty obvious to William that he shouldn't be tampering with the crime scene. And even then, Freddy's being a junior location to Fredbear's still isn't as far as the evidence goes. Though, real quick first,
To be fair, I can kind of see Junior's being a Freddy's or Fredbear's, like, sure, whatever. Yeah, I think I did a theory a while ago that was, like, talking about that briefly, but... Driving home from Dreddy's, but why would he call it Junior's instead of that? I don't... Unless that's, like... Okay, I had, like, a very crackpot theory. I feel like I have a very crackpot theory. But, like, okay, if you really want to say that the toy animatronics exist... If the toy animatronics existed as early as, like, the 1982 or whatever, Junior's could have been the location they were at. I know that was, like, a theory for a while that Junior's was the FNAF 2 location, but...
if you made it this far in the video, you're probably at least somewhat interested in the stuff I cover, so consider subscribing and turning the video notifications on so YouTube will show you my content when it comes out. My upload schedule is a bit irregular, so that's the best way to know when I upload, and I've got some fun stuff planned going forward. Anyway, to explain just how far the evidence goes, I first have to talk about how a whole lot of Freddy's construction seemed to happen in the exact same spot. Remember when I mentioned that there was a giant Freddy head and MCM costumes under the Pizzaplex and security breach, not to mention Mexes in the Mimic? While the Freddy head under the Pizzaplex doesn't look identical, it's similar enough to be reminiscent, especially when combined with the whole finding an extra Freddy's under a building that's not supposed to have one there thing. And with there being so many other similar objects and entities down there, not to mention the tunnels and elevator during the Mimic chase, that makes it seem really likely that not only was the Pizzaplex built on top of the FNAF
Not the collab I expected. We had Narrow Raven here earlier, actually.
6 pizzeria, but that same location is where Murray's Costume Manor used to be. We do know from Secret of the Mimic that after Edwin fell into financial ruin, William ended up with possession of the property, both for the Costume Manor and for the land Edwin's family home was built on, though he assured Edwin that he wouldn't touch the house. We'll be coming back to that later, but that would explain how Fazbear Entertainment would have the ability to build over that property. Not only that, but it seems incredibly likely that the FNAF 6 location and the tunnels underneath the building are connected to sister location. The underground rooms and tunnel system, both in MCM and the underground of the FNAF 6 pizzeria, are reminiscent of Circus Babies, especially considering the Scooper ending of Ruin and Help Wanted 2. Help Wanted 2 takes place in the FNAF 6 location under the Pizzaplex, and while the Vanny mask the player character wears distorts their perception, I find it incredibly suspicious that part of beating the Princess Quest 4 game in Help Wanted 2 involves taking the sister location elevator.
I really do hope, like, if they give a Sodom a DLC or, like, a sequel or whatever, they show, like, oh yeah, the MCM was sister location or whatever. You get to, like, explore sister location and, like, all those other levels, like, in depth or something.
Due to the mask, the exact appearance isn't going to be true to life, but either way, it's an interesting detail to include, considering the Breaker Room map and sister location. On that map, there are little squares depicting animatronic locations, including the ones in Circus Babies Entertainment and Rental, but also in both of the Nightmare Experiment Chambers, and, more importantly, in one building with 2 dots that's in turn connected to a set of 4 rooms that have the exact layout of the Afton house in the FNAF 4 minigames. So, since the other 2 areas are underground experiment chambers based on Tales from the Pizza
I was just looking at this, sorry, Circus, because I remember, yeah, like, this is, what was it? Which one was it? I believe it was this one. Was it? Yeah, because this is... Okay.
sister location is connected to the FNAF 4 restaurant. And while these connection symbols could be the path the crying child took, the fact that they're included on this map implies to me that they're meant to represent tunnels considered to be part of Circus Babies, just like some of the other symbols on the map. And if that's the case, not only would that mean the FNAF 4 restaurant is built in the same spot as Murray's Costume Manor, but that the tunnels connecting to the Murray house in Secret of the Mimic are now represented on the map by markings connecting to the Afton house. Remember how earlier I mentioned that the house on the hill in Curse of Dreadbear looks identical to the main menu screen of FNAF 4, with both games being connected to the year 1983? To me, this gives the impression that the house on the hill is the one the Aftons were living in during the events of FNAF 4. And interestingly enough, in Secret of the Mimic, the title screen of the game shows Edwin's old house at the top of a hill overlooking Murray's Costume Manor. And we have a note from William saying that, of course,
Don't the posters in the like the Fredbear and Spring Bonnie posters have, say, Fredbear's Family Diner on them?
he isn't going to touch Edwin's home.
Wait. Phone was in the way again. FNAF. Sodom. Brain malfunction. Fredbear poster. Yeah, literally. Wait, not that. Fredbear joined Fredbear's Family Diner. Fredbear's Family Diner. I mean, I don't know, like, how more literal do you need it to get? Kinda, in my opinion. Like, I feel like it's very... Doc, can you say this message to... Wait, what? Yeah, Charlie has a brother in the novel trilogies. Sometimes the bot mistakes you for, like, posting a link if you, like, maybe, like, misplace a period or whatever. No, I'm not gonna say I'm not saying that right now, Camry.
Home, except then Edwin goes missing, and Edwin's son's room looks to be the inspiration for the Nightmare Experiment room. And in one of the endings, things start burning down, and well, William owns the land, doesn't he? So why not build a new home and a new restaurant where the old ones used to be, and put his new Nightmare Experiment and dangerous animatronic storage and rental facility in the underground research and development area? He owns that now too, after all. And if he did build a new restaurant over where MCM used to be, I don't think it would have been a Fredbear's. Fredbear's Family Diner was a small single location that we know for a fact already existed elsewhere at the time, and it wouldn't make sense to build another Fredbear's when there were already plans to start a brand new restaurant chain that had a prototype under that very building. A new restaurant chain that was set to open in the year 19...
The Athens. The Athens have to live somewhere else before Secret of the Mimic. The Contrast IDs video, we could see Withered Circle's Fast Plot Theory video. You know what? because I am a big fan of Withered Circle. Maybe we'll see. It depends on how long we've been going. I might save that for another time. But yeah, I mean, no, I think yeah, I do disagree with this video, but you know, I'm not gonna. I saw a lot of people dunking on her, or whatever, when it came out. It's like I don't. It's not like I have a personal vendetta against the video. I mean, we're all free to agree and disagree, right? I feel like that should be commonplace. You know, we don't have to agree with each other, but we can expect each other's opinions and whatnot. But you know, like I'm especially like those posters, the posters that I just showed on stream. Literally, it's like, you know, it's Spring Bonnie there and Fredbear, you know. And Fredbear's Family Diner.
1983 and feature not just Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, but other animatronic characters that there would have to be merch for. A restaurant chain he would be personally involved with running, so why not move closer to where one of its first locations would be? One where his son would get bitten by Fredbear the year the franchise started, and go on to possess the animatronic, only to be joined by another spirit later on and become...
Just keep your opinions in regards... Yeah. I mean, again, at the end of the day, we're talking about the silly Pizza Bear game, you know? It's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a video game franchise, right? You know, it shouldn't be taken that seriously.
Golden Freddy, a new restaurant that would be...
Which theory is this? Are we talking... This is the one that she thinks that the FNAF 4 location that we see in FNAF 4, like the Freddy's location or whatever, she doesn't think it's Fredbear's Family Diner. She thinks it's a Freddy's, I believe.
One of the first Freddy Fazbear's pizza places. For all I know, there's a piece of evidence I overlooked that can't be interpreted to work with the location being Freddy's, but the more time...
I think there's a few things. I feel like the whole, like, 1983 thing from the week before, I feel like it is a reference to Fredbear's, because they even say Fredbear's came before Freddy's, and Ralph says that he doesn't remember the year that Freddy's opened, but then he puts in 1983, which therefore implies that when he put it in, he wasn't thinking about Freddy's. He was thinking of just, when did he... I don't remember what, okay. I believe this is we'll watch to the end of the video.
Goes on, and the more evidence I see, the more I'm convinced that this has to be the case and that it's something the games have been trying to tell us for years. Why have the road in Midnight...
Watch Game Theory's entire thing. I actually did react to Game Theory's Ultimate Timeline a little while ago.
Motorist between Juniors and the house maps so well with FNAF 4 unless Juniors is referring to the Junior location to Fredbear's. Why have so much Freddy's merch involved with the FNAF 4 location in the year Freddy's opened?
I don't think there's that. I mean, you're talking about masks. That's about it. And then, yeah, you have the plushies in, like, the crying child's bedroom, but that's his bedroom. Like, that's his house. And again, William Afton is the guy's dad.
Opened. Why have Golden Freddy seem to have both the crying child and a missing kid's soul? Why
because that's the animatronic that bit his head off.
Imply that the Pizzaplex is on top of a Freddy's on top of sister location that all used to be Murray's costume manor, and that the FNAF 4 house is where the Murray house used to be, unless the Afton house and one of the first Freddy's locations were opened in these locations. The creator of the franchise, Scott Cawthon, has mentioned that he tries to correct things missed in previous games in the subsequent ones that come out. Meanwhile, almost every single game, except for Ultimate Custom Night, the mobile game, and Into the Pit.
By the way, hello Fronters, hello Felix, hello Enders.
Seem to be pointing in this direction, and I think that's because Scott has been trying to tell us we missed something. Would it make it weird that Fredbear's is mentioned and never shown? Maybe, but the franchise is Five Nights at Freddy's, and if this is the case, it would make it so every FNAF game either takes place in a Freddy's, a place that becomes a Freddy's, or in a location directly connected to
I mean, but our Secret of the Mimic in of itself kind of goes against that concept, because, I mean, yeah, you could say that, oh, Secret of the Mimic, or, like, MCM, like, is, like, the Pizzaplex is built on top of the MCM or something, whatever, but still, in that game, although there is a Freddy's location, like, beneath it that they're working on, it is the MCM, it's not a Freddy's location.
Freddy's via whatever sister location has going on, and I think that's pretty fitting, all things considered. I know it's probably not going to be the most popular idea, and for all I know, there's something out there that I missed that throws everything.
Didn't know Edwin's shop was... Yeah, I mean, I think that's the issue with that.
Out the window. But with the information I'm currently aware of, this is probably one of the theories I'm most confident in. And hey, even if...
I wanted to go back real quick, because there was something that she did bring up from the week before. If I could find it real quick. Oh, I meant to sleep. Baller. Here it is. 4 digits could be you can't remember what year the first Freddy's Pizza opened or its predecessor, Fredbear's Family Diner, but 1 year does stick out. It was known as the Big Bite. So when he puts 1983 into the phone, it's not with the intention of it being like the year Fredbear's closed, nor the year Freddy's opened, because he doesn't remember what year the first Freddy's opened, nor the year that Fredbear's Family Diner opened. And we know that phone guy started working at Freddy's specifically. Because in those tapes, it was like, oh, Fred, you know, the Springlock tapes. I mean, it was the Freddy's tapes. I mean, I again, at the end of the day, I think if you want very, very evident information, or like very evident evidence, evident evidence, funny. If you want evidence that it was definitely Fredbear's, those posters, you know, with Spring Bonnie, the purple bow tie, there's Fredbear there, you know. I think, to be fair, Fredbear in those posters, I think, has a black hat, but you could actually use that as evidence for that, oh, Golden Freddy and Fredbear are the same character. Because, you know, they are. It's just that, you know, they rebranded Fredbear after the bite. Okay. Michael... Oh, okay. Bye-bye, Fridge. Don't listen to them, William. You're the GOAT. Thank you, Felix. I'm not... Okay. We've had a long stream. I'm old and tired and weary. We're gonna call it quits for the night, fellas. We're gonna call it quits. That's gonna be it for the day. That's it for the day, fellas. That's it for the day. Thank you to everyone who joined the stream. I hope you have a good day or a good night, whichever it is for you. Again, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed me watching FNAF Theories. If this was something you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like, perhaps even subscribe. Without further ado, I hope you have a good day or a good night, whichever it is for you. Okay, I'll say it one time. 6-7, Michael! There you go. I did it. There you go. Now be gone! Be gone!